What is up, RotoGrinders? Happy Monday. Mlb Dfs conversation, taking y'all straight up the lock. 2 hours from now, taking you up the lock. The Crunch Time crew will be coming in. You got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. You have TJ Zwarych, the greatest DFS player in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. And who's the other person? Is it Keith? Do we know who's coming in afterwards? I should know. I know that it might be Keith. Keith is wherever his greatest DFS player in Arizona. Sure, let's go with that. Why not? It's myself and Stevie. Stevie, this is your third time talking about the slate, I imagine, because myself and yourself, we were on a Sirius XM last night. We did a very, very early look, amongst other things, talk some basketball as well. Check us out in Sirius on the weekends. Typically, it's 3 to 5 on Saturday, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Channel, and Sundays typically 7 to 9. So, yeah, we discussed this slate, gave an early look, and of course, your second time you looked at it was on the morning grind. Now this is your third time. We have some new information as far as lineups. Most of the lineups are out. Stevie, you're powering up over there with some of your Reese's Pieces, or what did you call them pre-show? You didn't call them Reese's Pieces. No, you called them Reese, didn't you? Is it
no Reese's Pieces?
Reese's. Wait,
Pieces.
I think you said.
Producer Steve.
Producer Steve, what did he say? Because we started a whole conversation pre-show.
No,
that's
exactly what I said.
I thought you said Reese's Pieces.
That's what I thought he said too.
Oh yeah. If I known that what you guys thought I said, I would have said something differently. But no, I said Reese's Pieces.
Yeah,
Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, unless of course
that's my favorite candy. I mean, we're not gonna. I mean, have this.
That's the one. Well, wait. What about? Is that better than the cups?
I like them better than the cups. Yeah.
Oh, all right. That's a bold proclamation, sir. But yeah, in Canada, it's just there's no possession. It's just Reese. The cups are called Reese cups.
It's
so I dropped the link to that to you guys earlier, and there you go. We can show it on the screen. Sure, why not? If the people think we're just making this stuff up, who would make that up? That sounds outrageous. But I don't know if that's still true. Once upon a time, maybe TJ can come on and confirm it or deny it later on in the show. What's up, chat? Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. What is your 1-1 candy in chat? Let us know. What's your 1-1?
What's
The
yours?
top
I'm so curious.
I don't know. Reese's the cups are really solid. Reese's Pieces are fine. I didn't realize it as a kid. Like I was a dumb kid. I mean, that's kids aren't that smart. I didn't realize that ET was just like a Reese's Pieces commercial, like this, wrapped up in a movie in disguise. So just like Baby Ruth and Goonies, that movie wasn't about sloth. It was about Baby Ruth. They're trying to sell you stuff. Did you know this? As far as product placement, remember Reese's Pieces? E.T. apparently had a thing for peanut butter.
All right, fair enough.
Whatchamacallit's a great answer. The most underrated candy bar in the business. Does not get any credit. Have you had a whatchamacallit before? It's been like 20 years, but
I have.
It's
so
solid.
if you want something that's like super solid, do you like ice cream, Dean?
I mean, come on. Who doesn't like? Imagine that. I mean, yeah. Imagine not liking ice cream.
There's a Ben and Jerry's flavor of ice cream called Everything But.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Yeah. The basically every Ben and Jerry's like that's like the
Ben and
the gold
Jerry's
standard.
is legit, but I mean it's so good.
They added the Americone Dream, I believe, is the last one I've had. Yes. Some interesting nominations being thrown out in chats. Ice cream Snicker bars. Yeah, I haven't had one of those in years, but they're fine. Sure. That's a good a nomination. What is a whatchamacallit actually called, though? I believe we can go on forever with that one if we just keep going back and forth. Now and laters? Are they still making now and laters? Dentists probably disapprove of that now and laters. Those bad boys were hard in your teeth for sure. All right, there you go. What's up, chat? We got everybody chiming in. Do appreciate y'all coming in early. We're here for plenty of time, an hour and 15 minutes or so until we yield to the Crunch Time crew. Several nominations for the $100,000. $100,000 is, what is that? Nuts?
Candy bar.
Caramel or something? Well, I know, but yeah. I think it's, I don't know. What is it, a marathon bar? What's a marathon bar? You know what a marathon bar is?
Nope.
I'm going to Google. We have to Google what a marathon bar is. This is important stuff. All right. As far as today's slate, Stevie, we have several really good pitchers. Some pitchers that have scuffled out the gate. Maybe they rebound tonight, one of which being Max Scherzer, giving up way too many dogs, way so many homers. We have a core slate as well. Core slate with pretty decent pitchers, but still the total is massive, right? The total in course, I believe it's 11.5. Let's hit the little refresh. I think that's where it's still at. Yes. And, Colorado's got a 5 total. St. Louis has a 6+ total, I believe. This is our first 6+ total on the board that I've seen this year. And the Angels are right there at 5.9 as far as their team total because they're not in cores, but they might as well be because they're facing one Patrick Corbin. Patrick Corbin basically pitching because they signed him to a bunch of money. They might as well get their money's worth. They're not getting it still, but I don't know. Washington, they have no other options anyway. Corbin's not good. Gives up way too many homers. Dating back to last season, 1.61 homers per 9. And the Angels lineup is good. It's improved. It's deeper. Obviously Rendon is back from his suspension. We have a healthy Trout. Ohtani left on left, don't care. They added, did I say Hunter Renfroe? So there's some really quote-unquote obvious offenses. There's some fairly obvious pitching. Cardinals are distinctly better versus lefties. So, they're not facing lefty. They're facing Yermar Marquez, who's pretty good considering. But, certainly you can get to him. Like, he's vulnerable considering he's in course field. But the nature of the slate, the 10,000-foot view, I think it's pretty obvious from, like, a cash game perspective what we're doing. What's your screenshot? What are you seeing? What do you want to start focusing on as we take a peek at this 8-gamer?
Yeah, I mean, pitching is somewhat interesting on this slate. I have a ton of interest in Luis Castillo and Julio Urias. Like those are the two guys that like I'm building around. I know that like Scherzer's on the slate, and you could easily like put him in that same category. After that, I mean, it's kind of a drop off. Herman Marquez in cores, Yu Darvish against a low strikeout Mets team. Andrew Heaney, coin flip, I think, is the best way to put it. His velocity's down 1 to 2 mile an hour on his fastball, 2 to 3 mile an hour on his slider. So, I mean, that's somewhat concerning. He had a really rough spring training. He looked awful in his first start. So, and then you got Drew Smyly, Wade Miley. Yes. So then you're not playing either one of those guys by any means. So then, now we're in like the Logan Webb, Zach Gallen, Bryce Elder, Jose Suarez kind of range for like maybe potential SP2s.
Yeah, Haney's really interesting for tournaments because give up 1.91 homers per 9 last season. Only threw 75 pitches. Well, I'm including this year too. So running my numbers, he threw several this year, not a ton. But the homers per 9 is outrageous. 1.91, that is too many. The homer and the fly ball suggests he was a little bit unlucky, 19.5%, but 45% fly balls, giving up 25 balls. Thing is, he doesn't give up a lot of contact because he's striking out 34% of the world. So he's got the biggest the K rate on this slate, and also the biggest homer rates on this slate. Now I'm tripping up as far as the old tongue twisters. So I think you can this is the classic, talk out of both sides of your mouth. I think you can absolutely roster yourself some Andrew Heaney. I think you can absolutely pick on Andrew Heaney. Both of those for me are in play. Roof is open today in Texas. It's not scalding this time of year. I think it's like 70, 75, somewhere, something like that. As far as the temperature, obviously the ballpark here in Texas not as offensively friendly as it used to be. The old ballpark, which felt like, I've never been in that ballpark, but didn't seem like a ballpark that had to get replaced. But new ballpark there in Arlington and a little more pitcher friendly as well. I see some names being thrown out in chat. We'll discuss all these pitchers again, plenty of time. If you want us to talk about so-and-so, by all means, we're happy to do so. Hey, you're a Dolphins fan. It says up here in the Northeast, Ben & Jerry's has a Dunkin' Dolphins. Okay, Dunkin's got to be it's Boston-based. I don't know is that like a Patriot Dolphin tie-in? Why would it be called Dunkin' Dolphins? That's got to be what it is, right? Some kind of like Patriots fan. The Patriots, they don't even acknowledge the Dolphins, though, do they? Like they beat them so many times at this point, they don't care. The Dolphins want to beat the Patriots. The Patriots are like, yeah, whatever. We don't think about you. I know you're a Dolphin fan, so is it the Jets? Who's the biggest rival for the Dolphins?
I don't know if we necessarily have a rival anymore. We've been bad for so long. I would say I definitely want to beat the Jets and the Patriots most years.
So I grew up in South Florida, know some people that go to the games. The Dolphins-Jets games are always the ones that have the most fights. So I think it's the Jets.
Maybe it's the Jets.
You'll see a lot of fights in the crowds because, of course, a lot of New Yorkers down in South Florida as well. So Yeah, even Jacob saying the Bills. I don't think it's the Bills.
I don't
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it's the Bills.
I don't think it's the Bills. I think it's between the Pats and the Jets. Like the jealousy of the Pats,
We have
winning
a
all
lot
those
of Bills
titles.
bars around here.
You have a lot of what now?
Bills like bars, like
Do you?
bars. Yeah, it's very interesting.
B-Shot saying, enough rambling, no time for shenanigans. The thing is, like, we kind of do have time for shenanigans. Like, I'm not necessarily forcing the shenanigans, but to be fair, if you just say no shenanigans just because who wants shenanigans, fair. That's a good point. But we have time for it. I didn't, make sure to, claw out 30 minutes or so. But we have plenty of time to knock that out as well. Yes, it's an Arenado revenge game. Let's see, other names that are being thrown out there in chat as far as pitching wise. Who should we focus on? Yeah, Elder is hitting some optimal stuff, and it's a little uncomfortable to me. I'm curious. Let's start with a cash game perspective. I'm not sure if you're playing cash games. You're probably not. I am. You're not, right? I assume you're not.
I'm not. No.
Yeah, this time of year, it's early in the season. I'm trying to get some cash games in, and I'm all about the arms are safer than the bats. I hate using the word safer, but you know what I mean. They're more predictive than bats. I want the elite arms. I'll take my chances in tournaments with a guy that could be, all over the place. But I feel really, really good about Castillo. Castillo, of course, you can run in tournaments as well. It is pretty interesting to me. And I guess it's kind of jump back and forth as far as the Bat X. I don't know. Which do you go by when you go on Lineup HQ? Do you use the Bat X ownership projection or the RotoGrinders ownership projection? Typically, they're similar, but I haven't jumped back and forth. Currently, I have it on the Bat X ownership stuff. Curious as
I like the Plate IQ ownership projections, the RG ones. I mean, I use both of them. I go back and forth. I use the Bat for projections, and I use our ownership projections most of the time. So like that, like 650, and I have 10 minutes left to build lineups. It's going to be the Bat projections with our projected ownership. So, I mean, being able to use all those tools is fantastic, right? At the end of the day. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at usually.
Tell me if you hear any outliers, anything that sounds weird to you. The Bat X projections has Elder being the number one highest projected owned player on DK as far as the pitchers. That to me seems, I'm not sure if that's true. 31%. It's pretty congested, to be fair. Is it
super cheap? We have plenty of bats to spend up for. I mean, I don't think it's that crazy.
Yeah, 31% at Elder, 24% at Gallon. I think Gallon gets more than Elder personally. We'll talk about it. Julio Urias at 23%, Mad Max at 23%, Luis Castillo at 22%. Somebody was asking in chat about Heaney, and we kind of touched on him. Just 17, 18% according to the bat. Now, these all kind of basically in line with what we have at RG? Essentially the same, more or less?
I mean, Elder, pretty highly owned, Gallon, pretty highly owned, and then the three guys at the top kind of spread out in like the 20 to 25% range.
Yeah. Where do you want to start as far as pitchers? I'll tell you my cash game on DK. I haven't made it yet, but I'm very, very likely to get Castillo in there. And I think I'm pretty sure I'm going to get Gallon instead of Elder. They're both really cheap. We talked about this yesterday on Sirius. Like Gallon, obviously, kind of scuffling out the gate. The matchups were tough for him. The matchup today not as difficult. Reverse splits guy against a Milwaukee team. It's just not that imposing these days. I guess it's a negative ballpark shift slightly, right? Going from Miller Park to Arizona. Who do you want to start with as far as pitcher? It's pretty wide open. You can poke holes in everything, but dealer's choice. It's yours. Who do you want?
I mean, I kind of already said it when you were asking me earlier. I want to build around Castillo and Urias. Those are my two favorite pitchers, and like my main build is going to be those two guys. Like single entry stuff. Like I'm going to build around those two guys. So I have a ton of interest in both of those guys. I like the matchups. Zach Gallen's super interesting. The roof is open in Arizona. It's 90, 95 degrees out there. So he hasn't looked the best to start the season, but he's also had, two really tough opponent matchups. So this is obviously a much better matchup here against the Brewers. And then, I mean, I feel like we're kind of just overlooking Max Scherzer because he's had two starts where we're like, hey, what's going on with Max? But I mean, he should always kind of be in that conversation. It's just I don't like him as much as I like the other two guys today.
Yeah, nobody probably has a longer leash than Max if he's good to go, if he's pitching well, and 38 years old. Is this the time where he starts falling off? Or was that, the start against Milwaukee where he gave it back-to-back homers or back-to-back-to-back? He gave up 3 home runs in that game. It was a lot. I can't remember which version of it he got, but Milwaukee power bats, I think it was some of the lefty guys. And that's kind of where Scherzer gets got. Lefty power. He'll give up some fly balls and he'll give up some homers. Of course, he'll strike out a fair bit as well. He's interesting as far as ownership and just considering his upside. And like if really Bryce Elder is the top guy, and I know you're kind of you're just more or less picking on the Reds. The Reds not very good, not very imposing. Pretty good ballpark to hit it off. Like certainly a downgrade for them because Cincinnati is one of the top 5 ballparks to hit in. Atlanta, when it gets hot, then it's really fun. But right now, still a hitter's spot, but less so than Cincinnati. Gallen at 7-1 though. That's like whatever sort of issues I have with Gallen. It's just like I think the price it's sort of baked in is just sort of my take. I have not made Urias lineups with Castillo, but I think you can make that work, right? I assume you built something out or have a shell of some sort. You basically have an idea where you're going with that. There's cheap enough stuff. DK is they've still boxed it. They did not get the memo that there's games in Coors Field or how the games in Coors Field tend to play out sometimes. Some goofy prices there once again. Yeah, I think it's not that hard to make good lineups. It's kind of the point I'm making, right? It's pretty wide open. I made some lineups on Fanduel before the show, and I felt pretty good about them. We're not getting squeezed with the cap, so I'm just going to spend up on good pitching. Is my long story short.
Yeah, I mean, I want to spin up most of my lineups. At least have one of these 3 guys. I'll probably narrow it down. On the cheaper pitchers, I mean, you kind of talked about Elder. I mean, the lineup is just so bad for Cincinnati. I don't know what to really expect from Elder. He showed some strikeout ability in AAA. We saw him a little bit last year, and I mean, it wasn't the best, but it also wasn't like the worst. 21% Ks, but I mean, this projected starting lineup, or I guess now like the actual lineup for Cincinnati, like
Yeah, we got
27.6% Ks against right-handed pitching. Only one guy under 20%. The bottom half of that lineup looks terrible. So, I mean, you worry a little bit about the lefties at the top end of this lineup, but I mean, Elder should be someone where if he could just have a mediocre kind of outing, he should pay off this price tag.
Yeah, I'm looking. Apparently, he's got a small split according to Cardi's The Bat. Want to see if anything dramatic as far as the splits today. We kind of referenced that Gallen. He's a reverse splits guy. We'll talk about him versus Milwaukee soon enough. We're kind of digging some more. Yeah, he should be fine, right? What is his? How much they let him throw? Is he basically fully stretched out? Like, yeah, they'll let him go. Out. Yeah, okay.
He has a AAA start and a season start too. Like he was supposed to be like a AAA guy, and then when Fried got hurt is when they kind of put him in the rotation for right now. So 79 pitches last time out. I think he threw 72 in his AAA start. So I would assume he's in the 85 to 90 range if he's pitching well, or 6 innings. I think whatever comes first.
I just like that Luis Castillo, is he not going to be hitting like quote unquote optimals? Like, that just seems kind of a weird thing to me. Probably the best pitcher on this slate. Maybe it's Max Scherzer. Talent-wise, it's one of those two. The Cubs, not a very daunting lineup. Like you said, we get the lineups coming out. The Cubs lineup is out. It's not a lot to fear here. Pulling up the old plate IQ, as far as strikeouts, there are a couple contact hitters, but collectively 24% as far as striking out versus righties. I'm not afraid. And there's a little bit of power here. They added Bellinger. We'll see what's left of him. Mancini, they added kind of a power bat. Not last year, but historically he's been. Swanson, sure. Samsonite. Yeah, I'm not afraid. Is Luis Castillo. He's my top player, and I love the idea if he's going to be lower owned. And of course, we'll get the closer we get the lock, ownership stuff will come in and be more refined, and they'll do the best job possible at predicting. But I love that. That's what we're looking at right now. Ran some optimals in. It's Elder, Gallen, Heaney, Scherzer, Suarez, Castillo, Urias, and come on, man. Let's just. I love that Castillo Urias combination you're talking about. or Max. Throw some Max in there. I'm gonna play some Heaney. I'm gonna play some guys against Heaney. I'll play that both ways. But yeah, man. Am I gonna get beat by Bryce Elder? Is that what's gonna do me in today, Stevie? Probably not, right? It might.
I mean, it might.
Yeah.
I just like he kind of opens things up. So if you want to play like a top end pitcher, and if you want to stack the Cardinals or the Angels, at the end of the day, he just opens everything up. So I think that's one of the reasons why he's popular. And I mean, just the price on Elder and Gallen in general, probably too low for their matchups. So I mean, I like the idea of double barrel in the pitcher just to be different. But I mean,
Yeah.
we have 3 or 4 good options on the cheaper end. It's really just kind of who pans out.
And I think that's the other thing is like a lot of people gravitate to, especially like in the single entry, 3 entry max type stuff. They gravitate toward double barrel if you can make that work. And what's interesting is that that's not really hitting like quote unquote optimals. Now, the thing is, maybe it's not Elder that necessarily does you in, but Elder does fine. He puts up like 15 points, which is sure why not? That sounds about right. But he allows you to roster Goldie and Arenado and Mike Trout and Julio Rodriguez all in the same lineup. Like for real. I'm looking at it right now. And if those guys go off, right, if the best bats go off, then you might be in trouble because I don't think you can roster double barrel with Goldie and Arenado and J-Rod and Trout. You know why, Stevie? Because we live in the world with a salary cap. And, they would not accept that. They were going over. But that's just kind of what we're dealing with. That's incredible. I'm looking at his lineup. It's like, wow, that is some loaded bats. If you trust the combination of Elder and Andrew Heaney, who's certainly interesting for tournaments, that's kind of if you want to just get the best bats, you can do that as well. Other people in chat that are being thrown out there. Let's see. Interesting take. I've not checked industry stuff for the record, but Yao Pete says that the industry loves Castillo. Feel like the ownership is projected lightly right now. I feel like it's a little light too. Just kind of like, why wouldn't I want Luis Castillo here? He's a really good pitcher. And it's not hard to get him. Outside of like it's keeping me from an extra bat, maybe 2, which surely that can go poorly as well. Steve, anything else that's worth noting? Anything else we should focus on? We touched on Scherzer in passing. Suarez, you're making your 3 lineups. Suarez is not making those lineups, right?
I mean, he's very like on the verge for me. I kind of expect a clean outing from him. Washington's not a good offense. They have two hitters, and I mean, really small sample size on Stone Garrett, so we don't know if he's necessarily a good hitter or not yet. But he has hit left-handed pitching, even when he got called up last year. So rest of the lineup is kind of assuming that it's just a normal lineup for them. So Suarez is all about leverage, I think. Can he outscore Elder? I think is the biggest question. So, like, I might end up with Elder on one team and then Suarez on a team of the 3. I'm playing 4 teams tonight, Dean. Just want to, for transparency. I liked the single entry build that I had that I felt like was more of like a cash build, but I really liked it. So I threw it in some single entry stuff, and then I'll do my 3 entry max stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, maybe I end up on like 1 Suarez, 1 Elder, 1 Gallen, and then my single entry team kind of double barrel.
Are you in the 121 single entry?
Yeah.
Yeah, love that contest. Why can't we get more of those? Let's get like a bunch of those. Be a lot of fun.
I know, it's fantastic.
Yeah, the payout's great, like the flat payout, and just I wish Fanduel had something comparable to that too, which they kind of don't. Like, not even close as far as the size. But I mean, there are some single entry contests over there, but it's not the same way as far as the build. Is there anything different as far as Fanduel today that you're seeing as opposed to DK? Of course, you can only roster 1 starting pitcher over there. My cash lineups, by the way, I went against the optimals, and it is Luis Castillo. I am missing a big bat for sure. The cap's a little bit tighter where like you can, but it's hard to get like both or 2 of Trout, Goldie, Arenado. I only have 1 of them on my cash lineup, so it's just kind of a bummer. But there's some good value plays over there too, which we'll kind of touch on. Some players that are a little bit underpriced. Bobby Witt is $3K on FanDuel, really, really strong play in my opinion. And Teoscar Hernandez is like 2.6, which to me seems way too cheap. Both those guys feel like cash game staples for me. All right, Anything Fanduel specific you have for me?
I mean, as far as pitching, Scherzer's the cheapest of the three over there. So, I mean, that's somewhat interesting. Elder, still kind of a value at 8.3. Gallen's a little bit more expensive on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. I don't know if I would really go below like Andrew Heaney on FanDuel. I mean, maybe Suarez, but I like him more of like an SP2 type of thing. So, I mean, as far as pitching on FanDuel, I mean, I could definitely see rolling out Elder or going up for, Castillo on this slate for sure. I mean, I've seen some people talk about Graham Ashcraft today.
Come on,
I mean,
get out of town.
No, I mean, he has so I saw people talk about it. So it made me
Yeah.
like interested enough to like look into it a little bit. And I mean, he has some strikeout upside. This team is a team that struggles with swinging strikes. They either like hit the ball extremely hard against cutters or they strike out. So, I mean, maybe you take some shots on him in large field tournaments if you want to be different, but he's not my cup of tea today. And then like I've seen a couple of people talk about Darvish. I mean, I get why like people might have interest in Darvish. He's a 25% K rate guy. It's just the problem with taking pitchers against the Mets is, I mean, they just don't strike out. They have one of the lowest strikeout rates in baseball.
There is no Marte in that lineup, by the way. He left yesterday's game. By the way, Adam Duvall, he's got a wrist. He'll be out indefinitely for your Red Sox.
I know.
Not sure. O'Neal Cruz out for 4 months. What a bummer for Pittsburgh, for Cruz as well. Too many injuries. Tim Anderson left today's game. I'm not sure how serious that was, but he did leave today's game due to injury. Could have been precautionary. But, yeah, that Mets lineup, lots of contact. Nemo, 15% as far as, striking out. Lindor and Polar Bear, even pretty low, especially when you consider their upside as far as they actually hit the ball. 18.8%. It's not a huge number. And Darvish's strikeout stuff seems to be fading a little bit. You mentioned Ashcraft. Where was he a good strikeout pitcher in the minors? Because last year, 15.7%.
He had a huge uptick in strikeouts in spring training. He changed some stuff around.
Fair enough.
We got an Angels lineup too.
How does it look?
Same normal lineup: Ward, Trout, Ohtani, Rendon, Renfroe, Dury, Renifo, Ursula, and Ohape.
Yeah, I like Ohape.
He's batting last.
I wish they didn't fully bury him.
I'll still play him a little bit.
I think you can.
Definitely like piques my interest more when potentially hitting a little bit higher, but they're still the best offense on the slate.
The Angels?
Yep.
Okay. Is that a good segue as far as why are the Angels your top offense?
I mean, Dean, it's Patrick Corbin. I don't want to like sugarcoat it, but I mean, at the end of the day, like if we look at like some of the moves that the Angels made this offseason, they are a much better lineup when it comes to against left-handed pitching. So, they went out and they got Renfroe. They went out and they got Dury. Like that's huge upgrades to what they had. You look at this lineup and it's stout top to bottom right now. So good luck beating this team with left-handed pitching this season. And now you add in like Patrick Corbin, who's below average. I mean, they're the top offense today.
Do you remember Evan Gattis? Remember the catcher for the Astros? Remember this guy?
I do.
He used to play for the Braves as well. Apparently he's like going on Twitter and tweeting about, I think he's talking about the Astros cheating when he was there. It's pretty interesting. He's having a good time on Twitter. I do not follow him, but he's popped up on my feed right before the show, basically. And somebody, let's see if I can see anything interesting popping up. But I see him. Basically, I think he confirmed about the Astros. There was a pitch versus was it Sabathia, and like somebody said you knew what pitch was coming against Sabathia, and he's like I knew. And they banged the trash can or something like that appropriately, but. He's getting the whole other thing. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. I only saw the thing about a pitch, but now, maybe we shouldn't direct people to Evan Gattis. This is probably a bad idea. Just looking at it on the fly. But, do that at your own leisure, I suppose. I'm going to check our consensus value rankings as far as where we have the top stacks. And we have time. I want to pull up the the expert survey game. You were not on the expert survey, but maybe we'll wait. Oh, you know what? You were.
I was.
I'm looking right at it, and I just
leave it to Dean.
Okay.
Leave it to Dean.
Well, I'm looking right at it. And I apologize. Let's just see the other stacks where they're kind of stacked up as far as the consensus rankings. Myself, Head Chopper, Keith will be on later. The Luch. We have a consensus value rankings as far as our favorite stacks, and St. Louis is actually number one. But and you know what? They're tied officially. They're both at 1.5. St. Louis and the Angels are both at 1.5. Then Colorado, then Seattle versus Smiley, then Atlanta, then Texas, and Milwaukee. Was I the only person? I was the only person to put in Texas. I put him 5th. I couldn't decide on my 15, but that's, I thought Texas, maybe Seattle. I guess I flipped the coin and I got Texas. But yeah, does that make sense to you? I assume that checks out. St. Louis in Coors, duh. It's not a lefty, but still really, really good offense. Coors Field locked in for 9. Colorado next. By the way, CJ Cron is back. He was scratched yesterday with an illness. He's back playing baseball today. Seattle up next versus Smiley. Then Atlanta. Atlanta always dangerous. Texas. Zach Greinke. Come on, the ball's going to get hit. It's a little warmer there in Texas. And then Milwaukee from the Luch, which is kind of a curveball, but I get it for tournaments. If you want to tell the story that Scherzer just might not be the guy he was, maybe some potential. Wait, no, hold on. That's not Scherzer. I'm confusing my games. That's Arizona. You're same story though. You're saying, hey, maybe Zach Gallen is just not very good this year for whatever reason. I think it was a slight tick as far as his velocity being down. So worth noting there. Any disagreements there, Stevie, as far as our rankings? Consensus?
No, I mean, Angels would be number 1 for me. St. Louis, Seattle, Colorado. That would be my top 4.
We're not doing homers just yet, but Aaron Rasmuth is saying Ward is going to bang one out. Yeah, sure. Wouldn't be shocking. Why do you say? Okay, so maybe I don't listen to a word you say, but I read the words you say, and I see you in chat.
It's just funny because you're talking about Zach Gallen. I just got done when we were talking about pitchers, talking about how his velocity's down, and you're like, I think there was a downtick in his velocity. That's at least 3 times this show that I've said something that you like.
Yeah.
Urias. Castillo.
I'm playing sick today. I don't feel well. Can you hear it in my voice? I'm like, yeah.
Excuses.
Question for the chat, because we had some. This is our pre-show conversation as well. Say you're out of tissues. There's no tissues for whatever reason, right? You're not, an adult. You don't have tissues in the house. What's the next best thing to use when you have a cold? Toilet paper, paper towels, or secret door number 3. What would that be? I'm curious. What do people use? Is there something I'm missing? I don't. A handkerchief. I feel like you got to be at least 70 years old to carry a handkerchief, right? Who carries a handkerchief these days? Toilet paper, napkins. Well, napkins. That's kind of a all right. I don't know what a Polish handkerchief is. I don't. Is that? Do you know what that is? I hope that's not something reinforcing anything negative. So people are all over the place. A dirty sheet seems like a terrible idea, Peter. Like the shirt you wore yesterday or something like that. A handkerchief is the format of a bandana. Okay. Your sleeve. We're getting answers all across. There's no consensus rankings. Everything is just sort of like all right. No good ideas though, for what it's worth. TJ, at least answer the question while you're making fun of me. Old socks, a soft t-shirt. Stevie, blink twice if you're okay.
I'm good.
All right. We're going to talk about our favorite stacks as well. Do you want to do the expert survey before that or after that? Let's kind of add this in. Sure, why not? We got time.
Whatever you want to do, Dean. I mean, anyone that's listening that's a premium member, they have my thoughts on expert survey. They haven't changed. That's everything that I wrote up this morning is exactly how I feel still right now.
Well, so here's the thing, Stevie, and that I'm sure the premium members appreciate it. but we're here for the next 40 minutes, right? We can. You want to have a staring contest? We can have a staring contest.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it took us an hour this morning to get through the slate, breaking it down position or game by game. So, I mean, there's plenty to talk about. But you, Dean, you do you, buddy, and I will comment when you want me to say something.
Let's play the expert survey game. The expert survey game.
All right.
If the people are now yourself, Head Chopper, Alex, Keith, and the Luch participated in this. It's about 6, 7, 8, 10 questions, depending on. There's some long form questions too. We're not going to read those, but your favorite hitter for optimal lineups. It is unanimous actually across the board. Who would that be? I can't imagine. Who's throwing baseballs again tonight? Patrick?
I don't know who it was. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Who's your favorite hitter for optimal lineups?
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's Mike Trout. It's Mike Trout.
Oh, okay. Oh, I remember now. Yeah, he's pretty good at hitting baseballs.
I was told he was dust. Is that not true? People said he was done.
I think if he stays healthy, he has a chance to win the MVP. We talked about it in the preseason like betting expert survey. Like if Trout could stay healthy, like his chances to win the MVP are high. So yeah, I mean, if he stays healthy, he's very good. And that was the consensus probably as far as Mike Trout. The only issue there is the salary, but like you want to do whatever you can to get him in your cash games. Of course, he's an awesome play in tournaments. Just the matchup is spectacular. I think his line hit a homer today was less than plus. I think it was like plus 250 or something like that earlier today. Probably not a plus EV bet, but saying he's a pretty big favorite. Renfroe was like 325 because I was going to write that up this morning. I was like, it's not great value.
There were some really good ones. I might be gone now. I was on the earlier show on the Scores and Odds channel with Grant. We were talking about it, and Jordan Walker was like plus 800 or something like that. Some of the Coors guys were way too high. And I know Ermine Marquez is like pretty good against righties or like decent, right? But still, it seemed too high for some of those Cardinals power bats. Goldie and Arenado were like in the 400s or so, which seemed again like plus EV bets. I think. Your favorite hitter for large field tournaments? Who do you have? Well, you kind of mentioned it. Your favorite hitter. I don't know if you pulled yours up or not. I'm not sure if you're playing around and you know or you don't know who you put because sometimes I'll forget who I put in there. But do you happen to know?
No, I actually
who you wrote in?
I mean Renfroe. Going back to that whole like my expert survey was very, very Angels themed today.
Yeah, Chris Bryant thrown out there by Chop. Bobby Witt by Alex. Witt's going to be really popular in Fanduel, I think, but DK maybe not so much. J-Rod leading off on the road, locked in with those 5 spots. 5 at-bats. Well, presumably everything goes fairly well. You get that 5th at-bat if you're on the road and leading off. And that's coming from a Cubs fan, by the way, picking J-Rod. And somebody else took Hunter Renfroe as well. That was Stevie. Favorite pitcher for optimal lineups. Only one person said Andrew Heaney. That's Chop. And everybody else went with Luis Castillo, the aforementioned Castillo. And you already talked about Julio Urias as your favorite large field tournament pitcher. Let's see. Chop's got Castillo, Gallen, Urias. Oh, somebody actually did say Graham Ashcraft. A little bit of Graham Ashcraft love. The Luch, feeling ambitious, feeling froggy. I feel like that's for large field stuff. You're not going to do that like in a 100-man contest or a 200-man contest. Favorite salary saver for lineups. It is different depending on where you're shopping. FanDuel and DK.
I mean, for me on FanDuel, Renfroe's he's like 2,800, so a ton of interest in him. And then Brandon Drury on DraftKings, I have a lot of interest in him. Those are like the 2 guys cheap that I'm like ending up with in a lot of my lineups on those sites.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it before as far as Teoscar Hernandez on FanDuel being really too cheap. I think he's somebody you're plugging in your cash game lineups. Renfroe's got a nice price on FanDuel as well. Surprised that nobody said Witt, but I would throw Witt into that conversation on FanDuel. You can only pick one. I'll be doing this Tuesdays and Thursdays, I believe. So I'll be writing it up tomorrow. Favorite large field salary saver for the tournament for tournaments. You happen to have. Oh, well, you split it up again. You got Corey Seager and Montero for the Rockies. Tell me why.
Tell you why what?
Why is Seager? What? Both.
I mean,
Seager
have you looked at shortstop is awful today. just in general. So the fact that like Seager against Greinke in that ballpark, I mean, I think he's an excellent tournament pivot. I mean, because that's kind of what I always think about. Because Profar is like 2,800 on FanDuel, and he's hitting leadoff, so I think like he's going to be pretty popular on FanDuel. And then Monteiro on DraftKings. He's a very, very very big like power hitter, and he had a 46% whiff rate last season on breaking balls, which I don't think you really have to worry about with Mats. Mats throws a curveball about 17% of the time to left or to right-handed hitters, and there's a lot of like sinker / changeup. So I think this is a spot actually where he just makes a ton of sense, where he has a ton of upside.
You're saying the shortstop position specifically is kind of thin today?
I'm struggling with shortstop more on DraftKings than FanDuel, but I thought Seager was just a really good like tournament pivot off of Profar, who should be really popular today.
Yeah, and FanDuel Witt is 3K, and I think Seager's 3K. Both are really, really well priced. The tricky thing there's some good names, right? But Lindor, there's no discount for a matchup against Darvish. The ballpark's not great, obviously. Xander versus Mad Max. I prefer lefties against them. Can he get to him? Of course he can, sure. But do I want to pay full price for him? Not necessarily. In tournaments, do whatever you want. Do I want to pick on Luis Castillo with Dansby Swanson at 5'7"? I don't think so. Can you? Sure. Yeah. The punts aren't spectacular. Crawford batting ninth. Smiley is kind of reverse splitsy, but still, Crawford's not spectacular. In cores, both the shortstops are hitting the 9-hole. Edman versus Marquez, Tovar versus Mats. Witt and Seager on DK are fine. I pretty much never play Nicky Lopez. I guess he can like steal a couple bases or something like that, but when has he ever homer? Josh Smith, not terribly excited about that. Nick Ahmed. Ahmed's got a bunch of stolen bases. Didn't we talk about this yesterday? Arizona, they're leading the league in stolen bases, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I know Carroll's got maybe 5 or so. I was looking at Miley earlier today as far as his stolen base.
3.
Yeah. I was in my season long looking to pick up a stolen base guy, and I think he was the best stolen base guy available and was not enthused about that. But Miley's pretty good at holding on runners. Traditionally, lefties are better than righties at holding on runners, but doesn't mean they can't run on them. In Arizona, again, I think we talked about this the other day. Doesn't Arizona? And I remember you talking about it, Stevie. I actually recall the conversation. But don't they have an organizational plan of like maybe we should start stealing bases, take advantage of the new rules, and also our bats aren't spectacular, so we have to find ways to manufacture runs. I presume that's the thought process.
I mean, they're leading the league in stolen bases. I mean, I haven't really heard much about like, hey, we're going to come out and we're going to steal as many bases as possible. I mean, the Reds said that, and I think they have 2 stolen bases or 4 stolen bases. It's very low number. So, I mean, you can kind of see in the trends that Arizona wants to run. They have a lot of guys that can run. So, I mean, that definitely helps.
What is going on in the chat? Is TJ singing Backstreet Boys lyrics? Is that what's happening?
I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's Backstreet Boys and not NSYNC. I get those two. I forget which is which sometimes, but I don't know what spawned that. Were you a big Backstreet Boys guy back in the day?
Nope.
Probably. Not a big AJ McClain?
Nope.
I don't know. Was there like a Nick, maybe? Yeah. I can come up with them on the fly if we really need to in a pinch, but that's what came up. Fatone, that was in sync. Never mind. I'm crossing over. What inspired that conversation? Are you paying attention to the chat?
Nope. I'm trying to decide which shortstop I want to play. And, like my main lineup, so like the shortstop that I wanted to play is not in the lineup. So like I'm sitting over here trying not to rework my lineup and figure out what shortstop I want to play.
What are your options?
Pretty much 3,300 and under on DraftKings. So
oof. Let's see.
Not very good. Why is Nicky Lopez hitting 6 against a lefty? It makes no sense.
Because the Royals have a terrible lineup. Imagine what happens to your ego when you realize you're hitting behind Nicky Lopez. That's got to
be good for the old ego.
Who is it? Hunter Dozier sitting behind him? Are they doing a left right thing? Is that what's going on? Why would they do that?
I don't know. Yeah, I might actually have to rework it. I might just play like Nick Ahmed and then upgrade one of my outfielders somewhere.
I don't know what kind of conversations we spawned in chat, but when you said "Tell Me Why," that of course is a famous hook for a Backstreet Boys song. There you go.
Okay.
Took me a second to get there. I'm trying to find you a shortstop, by the way, 3.3K. You use the scrolls, by the way. You use the lineups page, and you can scroll to 3.3K. I'm not telling you, Stevie, you know how to do this, but in case the people are not aware, and it'll highlight those that are left.
It's not very good.
Your options are Barrero versus Elder, meh. Arcia, not exciting. JP Crawford's 3-3, and Smiley's reverse splitsy. Do you have a bunch of Mariners or no?
I have a bunch of Mariners. I just don't have Mariners on this. So my main build is an Angel stack with a low owned stack with it. So I'm kind of trying to decide what I want to
do. CJ Abrams.
I mean, honestly, it might just be Nick Ahmed and call it a day.
I was watching Washington in Coors Field the other day. There's a man on second, nobody out. CJ Abrams, the number 9 hitter, he's dropped a sacrifice bunt, and I'm told that TJ Abrams is one of the biggest prospects in all of baseball. He was one of the biggest prospects in all of baseball. You lose that status when you're sacrifice bunting in Coors Field. You can no longer be one of the biggest prospects in baseball when you're sacrifice bunting in Coors. That's it. You've lost that status. You can't be a prospect. That's it. I know he's got speed, and maybe you could argue he was trying to bump for a base hit. I don't think he was. But what are we doing? And who's calling for that? Is he doing that? Is he calling it audible? You just can't. What analytics department is saying you should sacrifice punt? Maybe if we still have pitchers hitting, but yeah. All right. We got Alex in chat as well. What's up, Alex? Make sure to check out his content. He participated in the expert survey, which for whatever reason I strayed away from for a particular reason. We can jump back to it. We got time. This is why
it's solid. You knew he participated, and you didn't know that I participated. So hey, good job, Dean. The flu game doesn't work for you. I guess you're just not clutch enough for the flu game.
I'm trying, man. I'm not feeling well. But what do we leave off at? Oh, player that you're most. This is a good conversation. Player that you're most likely to be afraid to be underweight on, right? The guy that just might kill you. You're not going to have enough of whatever reason you think they're good, but they don't fit your build. They cost too much, salary issues, that kind of deal. For you said it's Max Scherzer. That's a good answer because I'm afraid of being under on Scherzer as well. Alex, by the way, in chat's got Goldie. Goldie, if you care about such things, has BVP, batter versus pitcher status. Let's see. I was looking at this before the show.
Got to play him more now.
I mean, I like him as is, but in 40 at-bats, and I know Cardi loves the sample sizes, and you usually don't get 40 at-bats.
40 is actually solid for BVP. That's a lot of at-bats against someone.
It's a bigger number you're going to get for most people. Again, Cardi wants 10,000. He wants Goldie to face Herman Marquez 10,000 times in his 10-year career, but not possible. 17 hits. That's a fair bit of hits. 9 singles, 4 doubles, 4 dongs, 5 walks, 10 Ks. It's whatever. I do believe that you see pitchers better, some more so than others. I don't know if we know which ones they're seeing better. And I also care about who's controlling the at-bat as far as strikeouts and walks. And exit velocity, if you can kind of dig into that stuff and Savant. But yeah, there you go. If there's somebody out there, Stevie, that was goalie, screw him. And now they're on the fence, maybe. Now they feel like they have to have him. Is there one person convinced because of BEV?
Maybe. I mean, you definitely convinced me to make sure I have at least one Goldie team, which I already did, so we're good. Yeah. All right. Got a Goldschmidt team. I already had one though. To be fair. What's interesting? What's interesting with CJ Cron in the lineup, right? So if you're doing a game stack of cores, which I mean, if you're playing more than 10 lineups, you probably almost always have at least one game stack of cores because of the nature of it. The interesting thing is do you go CJ Cron over Goldschmidt in your St. Louis, Colorado stack on DraftKings? Because on FanDuel you can play both of them, but on DraftKings you have to pick which one you want. I think that's where you could potentially be different if you're stacking that game. If you go Montero over Arenado and CJ Crone over Goldschmidt, it potentially opens up some salary where you can get like a stud pitcher as well.
Yeah,
just throwing it out there.
No, that's a good point. That's worth noting. I want to see what the ownership is between those two. Curious. What we have first base, Ohtani. Well, first base / outfield, so you can throw in the outfield. We have the ownership at Goldie 17% and Crone for about 8 or 9%, so half the ownership. First base specifically on DK. Is there anybody like Freddie Freeman 3%, Matt Olson 3%? Like, come on, you're supposed to get more than that in tournaments. Speaking of like homer props, I thought Matt Carpenter could be pretty interesting. He's got the kind of batter profile that would hit it out on Scherzer. But it was like 4.5 to 1. It wasn't a great number. I didn't love the number, and also there's a threat of him getting hooked at some point. If a lefty comes in, boomstick Nelly Cruz, he's lurking. I don't think he made the lineup, but that's kind of how they're going to work their DH this year, it seems. Yeah, Olsen at 3%. That's too low. Just like large field stuff for me. I think it's too low of an ownership. And Atlanta, perfectly fine. Ashcraft is not, at least in the major league level, he's not shown the ability to strike out people at a positive rate. You got Logan O'Hoppe as your homer. Like you said, it's kind of an Angels team. Yeah. 9-hitter, you said before, you don't care. You're fine with it. He'll just hit a homer in the third inning as opposed to the second inning.
Yeah, I'm perfectly good with him.
Actually, he went in the first inning, right? Patrick Corbin's
and like you gotta remember the thing. You don't love playing a 9-hitter, but like the protection behind him if he has runners on is fantastic because you got Ward, Ohtani, Trout coming up like behind him. So I mean, the lineup protection spot of the 9 hole is not the worst thing either in that lineup particular.
Dodgers lineup is out versus Logan Webb, and we didn't talk about Logan Webb. It's probably on me, but he's got a pretty good price. That's one of the best arguments, and of course, he's a really good pitcher. The ballpark's good, ground ball guy. This Dodger lineup is not as good as it was. Still some pretty imposing bats. Betts, Freeman, Will Smith, Muncy, JD Martinez. I have to dig into it, to be honest. The Jason Hayward thing. I have a hard time believing he's like real again, but he's had a good start to the season, so good for him. Good career. Outman looks like a legit prospect here for the Dodgers. He's been phenomenal so far. A pile of lefties they're throwing at Webb. Peralta, another lefty, and Chris Taylor rounding it out. I believe that is 6. Freeman 1. Muncy 2. Hayward out. So it's 5. 5 lefties. Did you have a thought as far as Logan Webb? The chat's asking about Logan Webb as well, and I do like the price. 7.4 is pretty good. We saw a nice upside as far as strikeouts against the Yankees. I wouldn't assume it. I think he dropped 12 on him opening day, but good arm. I don't like picking on him.
Yeah, if you think about the Yankees lineup, right? They're very, very right-handed heavy outside of a couple guys. So the Dodgers are kind of opposite of that tonight. They're very left-handed heavy, and then the righties in the lineup are Betts, Smith, and JD Martinez. So, and Chris Taylor, but he's batting ninth. Doesn't matter. So I mean, Logan Webb is someone that I want to target against right-handed hitters. So the fact that they're rolling out 5 lefties, no interest for me in Webb today.
Pulling it up now. Yeah. Lineup HQ stuff. Yeah, I mean, look, I think he's fine, but yeah, it's kind of a secondary. For me, it's mostly like a check back in 5 days. But I do like Logan Webb just like as a pitcher in general.
I mean, I like the price. I have more interest in guys in this range.
Yeah. Thoughts on Yelich? Steven wants to know. You like Christian Yelich today?
No, I mean, he just ever since the back injury, what was it, 2 years ago? He's just not a power hitter anymore. Like he has a 144 ISO. He hits the ball on the ground a ton. You really want to target Yelich against like fly ball guys if you're going to attack playing him at all. So the fact that he's facing like a ground ball pitcher and he's a ground ball hitter now, I mean, just he still hits the ball hard. It's just he hits it into the ground. So I don't want to take Yelich today.
I see TJ in chats. TJ's got the spider bombs going, and shout out to TJ. I believe he went 4 for 4. Spidey. Shout out to Spidey. I should clarify. Spidey went 4 for 4 the other day with picking his homers. So bought himself some credibility, I suppose. 4 for 4. I don't know if he left any homers for tonight, but TJ will give them out depending on how many likes we have. I don't know where we're at as far as likes, but do hit that like button, do subscribe. do turn on those notifications so you know when we go live. We will be going live, I'm sure, during the, obviously at night games, but there will be some day slates as well. So do with those notifications when you're, why not? If you're going to be watching the shows, now you know when we go live, and it does help us out with the old algorithm when you hit that like button. I also wanted to drop something in chat for the people. I'm going to give away some RG Premium. Well, I mean, whatever. We're going to give it away. I dropped a tweet earlier today. Stevie, you tell me this answer. Sure, why not? You're not eligible. You already know a guy. Yeah. But just respond to this tweet. Don't respond into the chat. That would be worthless. It's not going to count. You can play along if you don't want to actually. What effort does that take? Just click on the tweet and respond. Who's the player? Who's the hitter that scores the most DK points tonight? That's it. Who's scoring the most DK points tonight? If more than one person happens to get the same person, also include the actual number of points. Of course, implied, but it goes without saying, but I'll say it just in case. Price is right. Rules are in effect. If you go over, you're disqualified, or whatever. Closest to the pin, don't go over, yada, yada. But yeah, just tell me who scores the most DK points tonight. You get yourself 1 week free of RG Premium. Not just baseball, football, whatever sort of football is out there right now. Basketball playoffs, golf, MMA, everything but NASCAR. Where would one get NASCAR, Stevie?
I mean, I heard the NASCAR product is pretty good at RotoGrinders /premium/NASCAR, so I would check that out.
Is there a promo code or no? I don't know.
There's no promo code.
I don't know. I'm asking. I'm just sort of throwing it out there. All right. Well, yeah, of course, we do not have badminton. To my knowledge, there's no badminton DFS. You play the Frolf, right? Is there any Frolf DFS? There's none of that, right?
There's Prize Picks.
Prize Picks has it.
Absolutely destroyed Prize Picks for disc golf this weekend. They didn't put it up the final round because they got absolutely rocked this weekend. There was bad weather. Did? Yeah, so there's bad weather in the disc golf tournament, and they didn't change the lines, and just all the overs hit, and there was just 10x, 25x's everywhere. It was not good for them this weekend.
We have some fun trolls today with some fun names too. And of course, people are answering the question in chat, despite being told. I mean, I hope it's Bryce Terang, and like you didn't actually respond to the tweet, but I do like Terang, by the way, as a player. That speed, by the way, speed for days, a little bit of power too. He's super cheap still. Jeff Gordon. What's Jeff Gordon doing these days? I know he was a racing guy. Is he doing something I'm not aware of?
Yeah, he's running Hendrick Motorsports.
Okay. Yeah. Shout out Jeff Gordon, I suppose. Big rival to Joe Gibbs, maybe? Possibly? Is Joe Gibbs still doing the thing?
Rival to Dale Earnhardt, yeah.
Okay. You've already answered your favorite overall stack. Who is the chalky stack you'll be underweight on compared to the field? You said Atlanta. I don't know how chalky Atlanta's going to be, but that's always a tricky question to answer, especially early in the day.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a really tough question early in the day. Looking at ownership for team. Is team ownership not working right now?
Well, if you go to like the Slate IQ thing, but it's got to at some point it's got to update, and I don't know when they update it. But that's where I would look for team ownership.
Oh, I'll have to go in there and look it up. I haven't looked that way before. I'll have to check it out.
Oh, is there a team ownership button in the lineup HQ that I'm not aware of? That actually might be
there
a
is.
Thing. There is, right? Yeah, I should know that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Tell me if you find it. If there's anything.
No, I'm looking. I'm trying to find your way now. Slide IQ. Why don't I see it? Am I just? Oh, there it is. No. That's not
It's right next to your name in the expert survey. I couldn't see it before, and eventually it popped up.
Slate IQ is right next to my name in expert survey.
It's a callback. Remember, I couldn't find your name, and you gave me the business for it.
Oh, okay. No, am I just not seeing the link for Slate IQ? Like, am I missing it?
I don't know, but I will drop it in our chat. How about that?
All right, there you go.
In our little our show chat, if you want to see it. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
And it's funny because I will now I'm going to the show chat for the first time, and I'm seeing that you were making fun of me. So yeah, 10 minutes ago you were making fun of me. Fair enough. That's understood.
It was a lot longer than 10 minutes ago, Dean. It was almost an hour ago. I actually left the show for like 3 or 4 minutes, and Dean had no idea that I
No,
had
you
left the
didn't.
show. Yes, I did. Yep.
For 3 minutes?
Yeah. So
What did I do?
Yeah. You talked.
You just did not stop talking. You didn't even know he was gone.
See,
I did a 3-minute monologue without him even knowing, like an intuition of some sort. That's pretty impressive. More than you should have.
I straight up left the show, and you had no idea. So
well, that's so fun. Yeah, the people are watching.
Atlanta's projected to be the 6th highest team today.
Okay, but like I wouldn't call them chalky though. It's like that's not the right word.
No, I mean I think St. Louis, Los Angeles, Colorado, Seattle, probably your chalky stacks.
Yeah,
but, I don't want to fade any of those
bad.
4 stacks.
Do you think LA gets some ownership? I don't anticipate that.
The Angels?
Oh, I was thinking Dodgers. Yeah.
No,
you said LA, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Angels. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna combine LA, I mean the Dodgers and the Angels stack, they'll probably be the highest owned stack of the day. So
imagine how good that team would be, right? Trout and Ohtani and Betts and Freeman.
That'd be a pretty sick
players.
team. They'd have to.
Well, I mean,
they'd have to
Ohtani's
sell half
go there
the
next year
city
anyway, right?
to pay for it.
Ohtani's likely leaving, I think, right? Unless they somehow make a ridiculous run, and he's probably gone. I think.
Trout stays healthy this year, and they make a deep run into the playoffs. You think he still leaves?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think it's probably a good chance he leaves. And the whole ownership situation there, like Moreno said, the team was for sale. I guess it's not for sale now. Who knows what's going on there? But all right, other things in chat. Oh, you want to give some homers to the people? The people like homers. You want to predict any homers?
Why not? Whatever you want to do, Dean. I already told you that at the beginning of the show. Whatever you want.
I want to walk away for 3 minutes. I want to hear you talk for 3 minutes by yourself. Can I do that?
I've been doing a podcast for a pretty long time. I think I can handle 3 minutes, but
that's true. That's
I mean, the Trout would be my favorite home run, and then I have a ton of interest in Renfroe as a home run. Teoscar Hernandez, kind of low-key home run today against Drew Smyly. Gosh, I mean, I could really just any of the Angels. They're going to be like the team that I could keep pointing out. Yeah, I mean, I have a ton of interest in the Angels bats, but the other guy, we kind of talked about him a little while ago, but from the Rockies, Montero, I think this is a really good home run spot for him today.
I was looking at the bat, and I think you mentioned Teoscar, and I think he's one of the top guys to potentially homer tonight, according to the bat, unless something changed or I was looking at something else or I made that up. He's about 11 or 12. Yeah, Goldie, Trout, Ohtani, J-Rod. I'm always curious if something like a little bit off the board pops up. Nolan Gorman's in there. By the way, the bullpen for Colorado is basically all righties, unless they changed. I think there was one lefty last I checked. So we're probably going to see, outside of one guy coming in for an inning or so, righties across the board. Let's see who's working for the Rockies tonight out of that pen. Oh, wait, you know what? They've added some guys. Brad Hand's there. Brent Sutter's there. Ty Block. Block is generally their long man. He'll go a couple innings if they need if their starter gets beat up or something like that. That's usually when he works. He has not worked since Friday. Hand worked on Sunday. Sutter was on pitch Saturday, but otherwise did not pitch the last 3 of the last 4 days. So they're all available. So maybe we see some lefty-righty nonsense. Were you surprised to not see Tyler O'Neill in the St. Louis lineup?
No.
Okay.
I mean, guys get days. I mean, it's baseball. So it doesn't shock me too much for him to be out of the lineup. I think they want to play O'Neill over Carlson as much as possible. But yeah, I mean, Carlson's not necessarily having like the worst start to the season either. So
my thought was maybe, and I don't know this, but like I feel like O'Neill's probably not the best outfielder amongst their options, and Coors has a massive outfield, so maybe it was like a defensive thought
too. Yeah,
yeah. I think it's like his power in Coors. Like, why would you not want that? Red Scout says he's in the doghouse. I know they were upset at him several days ago, about not hustling on something. I'm not sure if he's still in the doghouse. If I missed something, maybe he's still getting punished to some degree. But you got to think in a key spot, there's a decent chance he comes up, for somebody. Maybe Burleson. If a lefty comes in, I think Burleson's gone. If he's facing a lefty, obviously if the score's like 10-2 in the 8th, he might stick around. Oh, so TJ saying that Tyler O'Neill is a former Gold Glover. Did not know that. Yeah, all right. So maybe it is doghouse stuff, or maybe just they're giving him a day. I imagine he'll be in the lineup tomorrow versus Freeland. If he's not in the lineup tomorrow, that'll be weird. We have every lineup, right, except for Washington.
He's missed some starts so far this season against right-handed pitching, so it's not that shocking to me.
Well, the other part of it is that St. Louis just has at least more than 9 good players to hit baseballs, right? So some guys just have to sit, just the way it works. Their lineup is, I think St. Louis is one of the best lineups in baseball. Obviously against lefties, are the best. Washington's lineup's not out just yet, but spoiler alert, it's going to be bad. You mentioned Stone Garrett. Great name.
My question, okay, so you think the Cardinals have the best lineup in baseball against left-handed pitching?
Yes. Who's better?
Right. I think the Angels might give them a run for their money this year.
Okay. We'll see. I mean, I would make a WRC plus bet or whatever you want to make. I'm happy to make one of those. Obviously, goofy stuff can happen with injuries and all that, but I'd be happy to wager on the Cardinals versus the Angels.
I mean, you just look at the lineup; it's just stacked. I'm not saying the Cardinals lineup isn't stacked, but I mean, where is the weak spot in the Angels lineup against left-handed pitching?
I mean, Rengifo or Shella. Is there Shella
great
still
against
good?
lefties?
Let's see. What's his splits against
Rengifo
lefties?
is good against lefties.
I guess if you're saying specific to lefties, let's pull up the old plate IQ, right? They're facing a lefty today. It's interesting that Ward is the worst guy when it comes to isolated power. That's surprising. There's some small samples. Hoppy's looked good so far in a small sample, but there's a pedigree there. Urshela, not good against lefties as far as the power. The Woba's not terrible, but not great.
Do you know who leads the league right now in WRC plus against left-handed pitching, Dean?
Probably the Rays.
The Angels.
Oh.
So
where? Well, I mean, it's check back on game 162.
Yeah, I mean, St. Louis is technically 10th in WRC plus.
Yeah, but they're going to finish better than that.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying I think the Angels are a very sneaky good team against left-handed pitching, and I don't know if it's even sneaky anymore. I mean, this lineup looks really good.
Let's see. Alex is saying that Fangraphs has O'Neill as a negative fielder since those Gold Gloves. That's interesting. I don't know if he has I don't know what's happened in the last couple of years. That was 2020 and 2021. He's not terribly old. Interesting. Fielding grades are always. I mean, I'm not the person to go to. There's something called the Fielding Bible, I believe. But sometimes, Derek Jeter is the go-to, right? Where there was some place he didn't come close to making, and he didn't get punished for it because his range wasn't spectacular, or his arm. Okay, let's see. King of Smack in chat. Who are we stacking tonight? Asking about Atlanta, Texas, the Angels. Yeah, how about a mix? Would you do are you locked in on 5-3, 4-4? Are you okay? Is this a good night to do 3-3-2 as far as your combinations? Just kind of whatever fits for you.
Just poke myself in the eye. I mean, most nights I like 5-3s or 5-2s or 5-1s or 1-1-1. I like fives. And I mean, for the most part, I like fives tonight. I do like some 4-4 stacks on DraftKings today. But on FanDuel, I could definitely see on FanDuel doing a 4-2-2 or 4-2-1-1. I think it's a little bit different on FanDuel today than it is. But, I mean, there's some good spots overall today. So I think kind of targeting the upside of a full stack makes sense. I mean, sneaky stack, my favorite sneaky stack today is the Royals. I really like them. They're a team that I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about. They're on the road. It's, Andrew Heaney is someone that his velocity is down, like I talked about. And, I mean, there's some power upside. There's some stolen base upside. the lineup is ugly outside of Perez and Witt. So if you're doing like a 4-man stack, I think that it makes a lot of sense. And Texas projects as like one of the worst bullpens in baseball. So I think that this is a really good spot for the Royals.
There's some way. The chat is just, they're having a good time today. I'm enjoying the chat. It's all over the place. Mike, by the way, my hype man in chat saying, Dean says, let's bet. Stevie says, let's not discuss the bet. He's saying you're backtracking. That's what Mike's saying. I'm not.
I will gladly take jelly beans from you. But I mean,
yes.
Anybody that does jelly bean bets with me usually loses. So, I mean, I was trying to save you some Starburst jelly beans.
Is there an equivalent in American dollars, or is this metaphorical jelly beans? I don't know what we're talking about.
Man, you've been around long enough that you don't know the jelly bean bets.
I know the term jelly bean. Like I know people like I'm gonna put 2 jelly beans on it. Like guess that means like $200. I don't know. Yeah. Did that sound like Derek Jeter slander? Apparently, I'm getting hit in the chat with Derek Jeter slander. He's an overrated fielder. Like it's just a fact. I don't know. Yeah, he once dove in the crowd though and made an incredible catch, and he once got Jason Giambi out at home plate. Congratulations. Still not the greatest fielder of all time. Overrated for sure. But yeah, we will have to take this wager offline. I did a refresh as far as ownership. Elder getting 32% on DK. I saw somebody in chat say YOLO with Elder. Like, there's no YOLO when a guy is 32%. That's not what you say. Like, that's like if you want to say YOLO, I don't know. Who's the next guy? Who's the guy who will be YOLO? Ashcroft is YOLO, right? Elder's not a YOLO. The guy's talking about Jeter's hits now, and that's why I said his defense is overrated. No, his offense is overrated too, but that's a different conversation. 2 different conversations, both the same conclusion. Yeah, Stevie, 32% for Elder. Scherzer at 30% now. That's interesting. Gallen 26. What I love, if this is correct or even remotely correct, how is Luis Castillo only 19%? That's ridiculous.
I hope that plays out. Like point per dollar, I would gladly take Castillo over Scherzer today.
I would agree. Where are we at as far as projections? Let's see. The bat has it basically. The bat's got Scherzer by a little bit over Castillo. Castillo also a little bit cheaper too. I prefer Castillo over Scherzer raw points, but this guy in chat. Oh man. Alex is fighting with me too. Alex is on Team Jeter's properly rated. Disagree. He's been Paul Molitor basically. But hey, when is the crunch time crew coming? Around this time? In 5 minutes? In 6 minutes? We have a lot of time to talk about an 8-game slate.
I mean, okay, I'm just curious, chat. Like, how much baseball did we actually talk? I feel like it was 60% nonsense today and 40% baseball.
Okay, but here's my counter question: what didn't we talk about? Like, what could we? I was just filling time there.
Who's your favorite low owned stack, Dean?
Texas. I think it's Texas. So I think my favorite thing to do is like I'm not going to force 5 3s and 4 4s, and I'm more willing to go like 4 2 1 1, and just construction wise, I'll be a little bit different that way. And understand, I come from the perspective of I'm playing single entry contests that have 300-400 people in it. I'll throw stuff in like the 10,000 whatever, but like I don't expect to win those, but just in case, right? But my thought process is let's win a 300-person tournament. Let's not win a 20,000-person tournament because I'm probably not going to win that. But for funsies, I'll throw it in just in case.
That's fine. All I'm saying is if Kevin Roth was on this show, he would have kicked you off like an hour ago.
Why?
Look, Roth. What's up, Roth?
What's up,
TJ? Kevin, just be very thankful you didn't have Dean today.
Get the F out of here, Dean.
Roth, you've had yourself. You've been coasting all season. I heard you say it the other day. You were talking about, I don't know why. I can't. Why am I enjoying talking about baseball? Yeah. I'll tell you why. You've had no sweats. At what point? Well, when are the weather gods going to get you, Roth? Yeah. You got that horseshoe. It's right up the butt.
It's been great, man. It's been the best 2 weeks of baseball ever. Like, there's been some games with rain nearby, but none of them have really been scary. Like, it's been wonderful. I'm at the point where I'm thinking maybe this will go all season, but it won't.
You're batting 1,000 and
you
you're
realize
playing Little
you
League
just
versus
jinx
like
yourself
6-year-olds.
so hard.
Roth is so good at this. At this point, he controls the weather.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not in the mood for any shenanigans, so I just told the weather, go easy on me for the first month or so.
I'm just saying, by the way, an hour and 20 minutes for the slate was really hard. We had to fill some time.
We talked about baseball for like 20 of those minutes, so it's fine.
You sound like shit, by the way. Dean, are you okay? Yeah, you sound terrible.
I'm not well.
You don't sound it. How are you?
I'm not well.
I'm not. It's not. I don't know what's going on. I don't feel
player.
good.
We found out that like Dean is not clutch like Michael Jordan. He can't do a flu game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he did not. Yeah, he did not recover and bounce back.
Yeah, I'm a gamer, and you told me to get the hell out of here.
Rangers fan. You're basically Rudy Gobert in this scenario, and Roth is Kyle Anderson, where you're trying to play hurt, and he just keeps calling you a B word over and over and over.
You're gonna punch me in the chest, big man. You're gonna slap me in the chest.
Rangers fan in the YouTube chat is saying that everyone's bullying Dean. I remember watching shows, like I remember watching GrindersLive when Dean would be on with like Kurt D's and Big T, and he'd just be getting ripped apart. And I remember thinking like, why is everybody always so mean to Dean? And now after a few months to a year or two of doing shows with him, I get it.
He's so likable. Dean is just the most likable person, and you just want to give him a hard time. It's just something about. How good is that? Look at this.
TJ, your logic fails me. I don't understand. Why do you get it? Why is it now all makes sense that I should be made fun of?
Because you always antagonize your co-hosts.
Well, that fills time. Antagonizing buys 3 minutes.
So does shitting on you, Dean.
You're welcome. Good luck filling the rest of the 45 minutes.
I'm leaning on these two heavily. Dean, best in the biz, man. We appreciate you toughing it out for us. Not Michael Jordan flu game level, but you showed up. That's what counts.
Question before we leave. We talked about this briefly, Roth. Let's say you're not an adult and you don't have tissues in the house to blow your nose. What is the best substitute? Is it paper towels? Is it toilet paper? Is it like a shirt? What's your go-to?
It's toilet paper, but I'm not a nose blower. I just suck it in and swallow it down like a man.
That's not encouraged.
That's
The book doesn't say to do that.
Don't recommend it, but yeah, I'm not a nose blower. So, or you just snot rocket. Just
threw up in my mouth. All right, I'm out. Roz has made me sick. On that note, bye guys.
Later, guys.
Roth's statement there reminds me of one time when I was in 9th grade and I was walking to school with a girl, and she goes, and it's cold out in Canada, right? I'm in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada.
Sure.
It gets chilly. It was probably like, I don't know, like minus 20-ish degrees outside. And this girl says to me as we're walking to school, I don't really like guys who wear beanies. I don't think it's a very manly thing to do. And like at that moment, I just like had to make a tough decision. Of was like, do I care what this potentially attractive girl thinks of me, or do I just want to do I want warm ears?
I'm sorry. What
is going on over there?
Yeah. Hey, we got to welcome to Crunch Time, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get the show back on the rails. It went off the rails. We're back on the rails. This is the show that is sponsored by Fanduel. It is called Crunch Time. It is the show where we are joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz and roughly 7 animals. One of those hosts being the one, the only, the Iceman. What up, Ice? How are you?
I hope everything's okay over there at TJ's. That sounded physical there.
It's a literal cat fight, an actual cat fight happening.
I'm cat sitting right now. My wife just went to visit her sister who is performing. She's an actor. She's performing in shows in Winnipeg, Manitoba right now. And so they're driving up to see her. And so I'm cat sitting. Her sister's partner is Cat, and
good luck.
There's some stuff going on right now.
Yeah,
they haven't fought this entire time. all day so far, and now that the show has begun, they decided to start wrestling.
Well, you turned your attention away, and now they're trying to get it back. We got TJ as well. TJ, what's up, man?
Doing well, battling, keeping all these animals in order, but I really like this baseball slate. It's quite a bit of fun today. A few pitchers we can target, a couple of the top offenses, and even some others who are in decent spots today. So I'm liking today quite a bit.
Okay. Ice, did I cut you off? I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I second TJ's notion, though. Really good baseball slate here. I also have to mention it feels really good to have the regular season of the NBA behind us. Doing content for that 15-game marathon yesterday was an undertaking. So just shout out to everybody on the team for producing the content. It started super early for me, and then it was just like 3.5 hours of straight news. So just amazing stuff.
Yeah.
But happy that's behind us and we can break down these baseball slates without having to worry about that craziness now.
Yeah, that was literally, if you could dream up a nightmare slate, that would be it, right? Like spanned all day with all this news coming in, all these scrubs. It never ended. Quick question. Did you tout the dude, like the big boy, the big body fella?
Kenny Lofton Jr.?
Kenny Lofton Jr., yes. Tell me that we liked him.
I don't believe I had a tag on him. I definitely touted Memphis because they only had like 8 guys, but I don't think he was specifically tagged.
Oh my God. Like I watched that guy's highlights and it was just so fun. Like what a player, right? Like to see that guy with that body making those moves.
And he did that in the phenomenal G League too. It's not like that was unexpected. Like he's a baller.
He's good.
Cards and I did tell everybody to play him on Crunch Time yesterday.
There you go. All right. Alan says Kenneth Big Body Lofton Jr. And yes, he is worthy of the nickname Big Body. But ladies and gentlemen, you are not here for our basketball shenanigans or our recaps. You are here for some straight up baseball winners. And we're going to start with FanDuel. Make sure you sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook, by the way, if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers get a bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions do apply, but make sure you are signing up for that fantastic offer. Taylor says, Roth loves the big bodies. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's true. TJ, you want to walk us through this slate kind of a little bit and then give us a cash? Or actually, that's not even how we do it in baseball. Just tell me about your slate. You can start with pitcher. How about that?
Yeah, let's do it. So at pitcher today, I have a pool of like 6-ish guys that I'm basically all trying to get to at a even margin today. So I'll start up on our sponsors FanDuel. We got over 400 people watching those, so let's hit the like button. Spidey Bomb went 4 for 4 on Saturday. On Sunday,
I meant to say that. I meant to give you some love for that 4 for 4. That was amazing.
That was wild. That was a big day. The very next day, guy breaks his arm, another guy gets ejected. But Saturday, I'm not even mad about the Jazz Chisholm ejection because he still had like 25 DK points that day. But 4 for 4 on Saturday. That was pretty wild. So let's hit the like button for the Spidey Bomb. We just hit 100 likes, so that means we are already ready for the first one of the day. The first Spidey Bomb is going to my former Toronto Blue Jay outfielder that I loved, currently playing for Seattle in a great spot today. A massive 450 ISO against lefties over the last season. Teoscar Hernandez is hitting one out of the park today, and he is the first Spidey Bomb of the day. In terms of pitchers, who we're going with for pitchers today, there's the graphic. I knew Steve had it ready. I was trying to go on for a while the people were ready with the likes, and so I had to monologue a while to let Steve get up there. So starting on FanDuel, when it comes to pitchers today, I think my favorite is probably Luis Castillo. Like if I'm playing a single entry lineup, Luis Castillo is probably the guy that I'm going to be landing on today. From a tournament perspective, I'll switch it up. Jose Suarez is so wildly cheap on FanDuel that I think he's worth some shots. Zach Gallen at 8-9 would be the other guy I'd be deciding between with Castillo. Like if I just couldn't build a lineup I liked with all the way up at Castillo at 10-5, Gallen down to 8-9 would be the one that I'm dropping to. Heaney is definitely worth a shot in tournaments, like massive strikeout guy whose velocity has been down this year, so we're worried about him. But the lineup that KC threw out is more left-handed than it usually is. And so while that he does strike out more righties than he does lefties. It also limits his power with more lefties in the lineup here. So Heaney is somebody you can absolutely take shots on. Elder is somebody you can absolutely take shots on. Same with paying up for a guy for Scherzer or Julio or Arias. But my favorites are going to be Castillo in the 10K range, Zach Gallen at 8-9, or going all the way down to Jose Suarez at 6-8.
Okay. I don't know if we can get the lineup HQ up on here, but if we can, let's make that happen. I don't know who's in charge of screen sharing here. Hopefully it's not me because I'm not doing it. But okay, Ice, let's talk pitchers. What are your thoughts in general here?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what TJ said. I will note that our ownership numbers have Castillo far lower owned than Scherzer. Everybody any content I've looked at, I think everyone's talking about Castillo. He's got a matchup against the Cubs, who strike out a ton. Scherzer has a matchup against San Diego, who is tough. He's also struggled in his first 2 starts. I think Castillo probably ends up higher owned than Scherzer if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Now Castillo is a little bit more expensive, so that might factor into it a little bit. But I think there's some concern just with Scherzer's age and a couple of starts that he's had, plus the matchup. That don't play Castillo thinking you're going to be sneaky in tournaments. He's going to be pretty popular, at least as popular as Scherzer, I would say.
But have we flipped the script to maybe Scherzer's coming under owned, and now you're like, ooh, maybe this is the narrative's changed, or no?
It's really hard to say because Scherzer's last 2 starts are not going to be factored into projections all that much. Scherzer's still grading out really well because he's been awesome forever. If you're just playing the projection, Scherzer's still going to get played.
So he could be a weak play. I get. Okay, I see.
I really hope that the ownership comes in at 20% Scherzer, 10% Castillo, because I will be well over the field on Castillo in that situation. I just wanted to make sure, I think it comes in a lot closer than that. Even if it's 15-15, I still prefer Castillo though. Because of, like I said, the matchup, it's a great matchup for Castillo against a strikeout heavy Cubs team versus Scherzer, who has San Diego, one of the best offenses in baseball. Mm-hmm. Urias as a pivot in tournaments is a great option. He's the most expensive guy on FanDuel, not a huge strikeout pitcher. So I still prefer Castillo because of the strikeouts, but I don't mind a pivot to Urias. If you're looking cheap, my favorite guy on FanDuel is Andrew Heaney. He is a boomer bust type of guy. He could go out and strike out 10 in 5 or 6 innings. He could also go out and give up 3 home runs to the Royals today. So 7,800 on FanDuel, though, more than happy to take some shots that I can find some strikeouts from him today. Zach Gallen is interesting. Velocity has been down a little bit, but I do like his matchup against Milwaukee. So I will be playing quite a bit of Gallen. Darvish has a really tough matchup against the Mets, who just don't strike out. And Logan Webb is overpriced on FanDuel. I don't mind some shots on DraftKings on Logan Webb, where he is really cheap. And then another DraftKings, TJ mentioned Elder, but he's going to be pretty chalky on DraftKings because he is really cheap and he helps you spend up for some of these Coors bats and Angels bats that we want. I will definitely be way under the field on Elder. If I'm looking for a pivot down in that range, I mentioned Logan Webb. He's a couple hundred more. Jose Suarez is right there in that same range. And then Graham Ashcraft is a guy who was striking out everybody in spring training, and that carried over to his first start. He has a really tough matchup with Atlanta. He could get blown up today. Absolutely. But he could also put up a bunch of strikeouts. Atlanta has a bunch of high strikeout bats in that lineup, a bunch of high power bats as well, too. So very similar to the Heaney play. He could give up 3 home runs. He could strike out 10, but I'm more than happy to go way over the field on Ashcraft and under on Bryce Elder.
Interesting. Okay. Let's say you're playing single entry on DK. You need 2 pitchers. First, tell me what the chalk is, and then tell me what you think a legitimate, not crazy, but also lower owned pivot is that you like.
So chalk, I think, is Castillo and Elder. I would say in a single entry, I'm still playing Castillo. I just think he has the highest upside on this slate by a good margin. And then my favorite would be Gallen. He's also only 7,100, so he's significantly cheaper than he was on FanDuel as well. But if you're wanting to play a Coors stack or Angel stack, I still think Castillo Gallen is a little bit chalky in a lineup like that. That's where I would pivot to somebody like Ashcraft.
Okay. And Ashcraft is the dude that you said have been striking people out, but also is against a good team and could get lit up.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Love it. I feel like I got a good feel for that. Let's talk some hitters. Let's talk stacks. And
I want to touch a little bit on
Please.
DK pitching still, because I
do.
focus mostly on FanDuel for that first part. But DK is where I'm doing mostly what I talked about in terms of I have like 6 to 8 pitchers in a pool, and I'm just trying to evenly distribute those guys. I don't have any less than 15% of a pitcher. I don't have any more than 33% of a pitcher. Of course, these guys start going again as soon as I start talking. Unbelievable. But I'm just kind of really spreading it out. So Castillo is going to be my highest owned guy at probably like 30 to 35%. I'm just finishing up my most recent run now that includes a 10 to 15% Ashcraft since Keith brought him up. But Bryce Elder is likely going to be your chalk, and I agree. Elder Castillo is going to be the most likely pairing in a single entry tournament. Castillo Gallen would probably be the two that I'd personally be going with. But playing 150 lineups like I am, and I'd be doing this even if I was playing like 5 to 10, I'm trying to really spread it out with my pitchers today, because I don't think anyone's in necessarily one spot better than the other. So I'll kind of go in terms of who I have highest owned to who I have least high.
Yeah, please.
But it's 15 to 30% for all of them. So it's not that big of a difference across the board. But Castillo, Gallen, Elder, Arias, Suarez, Heaney, Scherzer, Webb, Ashcraft. Those are the 8 pitchers in my pool today, and I'm just basically trying to get close to the same amount of all of them.
Okay, that makes sense. I like it. Ice, I'm going to kick it back to you now, and let's talk about some of the stacks. You already, in passing, mentioned a couple of the chalk stacks, but tell me what's the chalk, and then what do you like to get off of that?
Yeah, so in my opinion, there's 3 very clear best offenses today. We have Coors Field, which those 2 teams are always going to be up there as far as stack rankings go. We have the Cardinals at the Rockies. Marquez going for the Rockies, who is actually a pretty decent pitcher, particularly against right-handers. But I still think they're going to be like easily top 3 owned, probably top 2 with Angels. The Rockies also obviously in Coors Field against Steven Matz, who's a fly ball pitcher that generally doesn't work out very well in Coors Field.
Not great. Not ideal. Yeah.
Right. That altitude is favorable. Thin air. And Colorado is also much better against lefties than they are against righties. So they set up a little bit better against Matz. I think the Cardinals are higher owned than the Rockies, but they both will carry significant ownership. And then my favorite stack of the day is the Angels against Patrick Corbin. They set up really well against lefties too. They made some offseason additions in like Brandon Drury. They're getting Anthony Rendon back from injury, who has hit lefties really well. Obviously, you have Trout and Ohtani, who are 2 of the best hitters on the planet. The Angels are in a great spot against Patrick Corbin, who has struggled for the better part of 3 years now. Going to be a tough night for Mr. Corbin, I think. Kind of the next tier down, I would have Seattle against Drew Smyly, another fly ball pitcher. TJ already gave you the Teoscar Hernandez. Absolutely love that call. Seattle in a great spot. Should hit at least a couple of home runs here today in Wrigley Field. And it's warm in Chicago today, which is nice. It can often be around 40 degrees this time of year. It's over 60 today, though, so not worried about any weather troubles there in Wrigley. The Braves should gather some ownership. I gave you some reasons why when I was talking about Ashcraft. Like Ashcraft gave up a bunch of hard contact last season. I think he's made improvements to his pitch arsenal. He's changed his pitch mix a little bit, so I'm down on the Braves a little bit. But they do have some attractive ownerships. I'm playing both sides of this matchup. The Braves are just an outstanding offense with power all throughout the lineup. So I'll have some Ashcraft, but I'll also have some Braves. You've got the Rangers against Zach Greinke. He doesn't strike anybody out. Plenty of balls in play there. Arizona against a lefty as well in Wade Miley, who's very low strikeout. And that kind of is the end of this second tier there. My favorite, just completely off the board thing to do today is the Cincinnati Reds, especially on DraftKings where Bryce Elder is going to be owned. Elder, like the Reds are not good. I see you laughing at TJ there.
Yeah, it's just got to tag.
That's Oz. That's the cat that I'm babysitting.
Yeah. Anyway, Reds against Elder on DraftKings, particularly where he's owned, he has pretty wide splits. So particularly Reds lefties, and you don't need to full stack them. But I am certainly home run hunting with Reds. Jake Fraley and TJ Friedl are my 2 favorites. Jason Vossler has shown some power in limited action as well. So I love those three Reds lefties, and I'm fine playing like scarce positions like catcher and second base to round out my Red stacks.
Okay, very good. I want to take you back real quick and get back to the Angel stack because you've got the three big names, right? You've got Trout, Ohtani, and Rendon. Those would be like the three best bats. But then I think there's a lot of cheaper options that you could plug in. So what is your favorite way to stack that? Or are you just trying to get crate? TJ? Yes.
I just want to clarify, like Rendon is probably like our 6th bat on the Angels today.
Okay. All right. Noted. Ice, how are you stacking that? What's the best way to go about that?
I am playing all 9 batters in the Angels lineup. If you just pull up plate IQ, there's a sea of green for the Angels against left-handed pitching. Urshela would be my least favorite. The rest of them have amazing splits against lefties. Like Ohapi's a cheap catcher. Rengifo has great splits, is much better against lefties. Renfroe and Drury both just demolish left-handed pitching. Taylor Ward is the same. And then Rendon, I agree with TJ. He's down the list because he's been injured for the better part of 2 years. He's cheap, though, I will say that. And he's at third base, which is typically a loaded position. Like playing a guy like Rengifo or Drury at second is much more valuable than a guy like Rendon at third, in my opinion. So that's why and Ohapi at catcher, too. Some of the other Angels I would play ahead of Rendon just because you can do really great at third in a lot of spots.
That makes sense. Okay, great answer. And real quick, because I've decided right now I'm putting in a lineup. Who is the good pitcher and who is the other pitcher who said might get lit up by Atlanta, but might get a few strikeouts? Because I'm playing.
Castillo is the guy you definitely want to play. Ashcraft if you're feeling froggy. Risky.
Okay, excellent. TJ, talk to me about some stacks, bud.
All right. So I agree with Keith. The Angels are going to be my favorite stack of the day. They are my highest owned stack. And I have Seattle kind of in my tier 1. So Colorado drops a little bit below Seattle, St. Louis, and LA to me. Those are kind of my big 3 that I'm targeting. And then Colorado is my 4th favorite stack, obviously in Coors Field, going up against the lefty and Mats. After that, I'm kind of differentiating. I have a tier of Atlanta, the Dodgers, the Rangers, and the Royals that are kind of like my next group of stacks that are in the 5 to 10% of my lineups range. And then just in case, my just in case teams are Arizona and San Diego, the Mets, the Reds, and Milwaukee that I'm getting into a little bit, a few of my lineups as well. In terms of the Reds, like I don't have many full stacks of them, but I am getting to a little bit of those guys like TJ Friedl and Jack Fraley as well, just for some home run hunting, just like Keith said.
Okay, excellent. Let's go position by position. TJ, you can start us off. Talk some catcher, and of course we'll do both sites. So for FanDuel, you don't have to name a catcher unless you want to, but start us off there.
So Wilson Contreras is probably the best catcher, I think, today on DraftKings. I want to say as well, we're 18 likes away from the Spidey bomb. So make sure you are you're hitting the like button on YouTube as well, so we can dish out another Spidey bomb. Wilson Contreras, I think, is going to be my favorite guy here, but Sal Perez, Logan Ohapi, Tom Murphy, and Sean Murphy are 4 players that I'm also trying to get into my lineups a ton as well. Sorry, Elias Diaz should probably be in that list. Catcher is surprisingly good for tournaments today. There's a lot of guys that can, with home run upside, Diaz, Perez, Ohapi, both Murphys, Contreras. So if you want to even include a catcher on your stack on FanDuel today, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Ice?
Yeah, I agree with everything TJ said. They're pretty strong. Both guys in Coors are great, and agree with the FanDuel take as well. You can play either Coors guy. You can play Sal Perez or Ohapi on FanDuel. In my opinion, they can compete with those first basemen. They're also cheaper in a lot of instances, which is certainly helpful if you're trying to pay up for a guy like Castillo. Only other name, Tyler Stevenson is a red that I will play just because he fits with a stack that I'm playing quite a bit for leverage. And then Gabriel Moreno, I do like Arizona righties quite a bit against Miley, and he's really cheap on DraftKings.
Okay, take me to first base.
All right, so a lot of these positions are going to contain Coors Field guys and Angels. That's definitely the case here. At first, you have Goldschmidt and Crone in Coors Field. Shohei Ohtani, lefty, don't care. He has been totally fine against lefties in his career. Brandon Drury, an outstanding option for the Angels. Probably want to play him at second base, but he does have first base eligibility on DraftKings. Alec Burleson is another Coors bat who has eligibility in the outfield. One off that I like, I mentioned Arizona righties, Christian Walker, big power guy. Not afraid of that matchup with Miley. Ty France, absolutely in a Mariner stack. He's really expensive. Should keep his ownership way down. Let's see here. Matt Carpenter has a nice price. Like if you're going to get to Scherzer, it's probably going to be with left-handed power, and we know Matt Carpenter has that. Jason Vossler, another red that I will mention.
Okay, TJ first.
4 likes away from the Spidey Bomb. Somebody mentioned that they will only hit the like button if they can confirm the Spidey Bomb is not a Blue Jay today. Well, the Toronto Blue Jays don't play today, so you do not have to worry.
That helps.
The Spidey Bomb will not be a Blue Jay. Paul Goldschmidt, I think, is without a doubt the top first baseman on the slate. It's between he and Mike Trout for who is the best overall hitter on the slate today. And so Goldschmidt's definitely my top option here. CJ Cron, another fantastic one. A couple of the cheapies I like that Keith mentioned as well, but I'm more likely to play them as another position outside of first base. I think you probably want to be paying up here today. If it's not Goldschmidt or it's not Cron, take a shot on a guy like Freddie Freeman, take a shot on Nathaniel Lowe, take a shot on Matt Olson at super low ownership today. I think that's where you want to go at first base. It's probably not somewhere that I'm going to be spending down too often.
Okay, very good. Take me to second, please.
Second base today, getting my hopefully final set of lineups popping all the way through here. Brandon Drury is going to be the guy that I have at second base without a doubt the most. We talked about liking him like on Fanduel where he's 2,600. That's just a cash game, lock and load. And then on DraftKings, he's going to be my highest owned guy at this position by probably double. Where you can play Mookie Betts at second base on DraftKings, even though we're probably not stacking the Dodgers a ton. I think Mookie Betts is a one-off or in a mini stack at that second base position, which is weaker than most other positions on the slate, is a very interesting spot here as well. Outside of that, I'm really just stacking, and so I'm getting a lot of guys like Alan Trejo, Brendan Donovan, Luis Rengifo, Sam Haggerty, a little bit of Ozzie Albies and Marcus Semien, just mostly guys in my stacks.
Okay. Ice.
Just a couple other one-offs. Agree completely with what TJ said there. It's a stack position. If you're going to Coors, those are your best options. Drury and Donovan. I love Rengifo as well. Another Angel. And then the guys I'm playing as one-offs, Kettle Marte, I think is a great option against Miley. Ozzie Albies against Ashcraft. And love the Mookie Betts call too. Just like him having second base eligibility makes him like you can play him against anybody on any slate.
Okay, very good. Take us to third.
All right. So let's start with Nolan Arenado is probably the highest upside option being in Coors Field. Elariz Montero is the Rocky at the position, and he is cheap. So if you need to save some money, don't hate going down to him. Nolan Gorman has third base eligibility, and Brendan Donovan, who we mentioned at second, also has third base. Rengifo has third base as well. So a lot of guys we already talked about there. Rendon is the cheapie that we love against Corbin. Hasn't been healthy for a while, but a long career of smashing left-handed pitching. Can certainly play Austin Riley. Worth noting that Ashcraft, who I've talked about a couple of times, did have reverse power splits too. So righties is who he really struggled against. So I actually prefer Braves right-handers if I'm looking for a power hitter. I love Matt Olson. You can play Albies because of the speed, but Austin Riley, and when we get to the outfield, Acuna, if you're looking for the home run, I would look for the right-hander. He really neutralizes lefties with his cutter. So just a reverse splits guy that not everybody pays attention to all the time. Max Muncy for a one-off is totally fine, who nobody's playing today. That's about it.
Okay, TJ, third base.
Such a strong position here today. So I agree that Nolan Arenado is probably the top guy on the board, returning to his former home of Coors Field, going up against the lefty today. Not against the lefty, but still just in a smash spot. Anthony Rendon is going to be probably my second highest owned third baseman just because I'm loading up on the Angels today. They're my highest owned stack. And so even though he's sixth on my list of Angels, he's still second on my list of third baseman. Eugenio Suarez is another player I'm getting to a ton of. I mentioned Trejo, Donovan, a little bit of Urshela, and then Austin Riley is another call that I really like today. And we're at 155 likes. And guess who Spidey Bomb number 2 is? It is Austin Riley for the Atlanta Braves. He's going to be hitting one out of the park today at this third base position. So even if you're not full stack in the Braves, make sure you get a little bit of Riley in those lineups as well.
Very good. Jeff pointing out in the chat, any tout who lets the casuals know reverse splits trends is a great freaking tout. Love you, dude. That was, of course, directed to Ice. In the meantime, there's a Spidey Bomb graphic. Can we be a little quicker on that? What do we got to do to load these Spidey Bombs? You got to hit like 19 buttons. You just, come on, Steve. You just push a button, right? I don't know. I've never produced. Actually, I did produce once. The show never got on air. So I shouldn't judge. Okay, TJ, take me through what we're going to do. I believe we're at short now.
Yeah, so at short base, shortstop, my favorite position, not my favorite position, my least favorite position, and therefore my favorite guy is Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby, he's the cash guy you're probably playing on Fanduel, on DraftKings. He's the shortstop I'm going to be getting to the most today as well. If you're not playing Witt, you're probably playing Jurickson Profar in cash just because he's leading off in Coors Field. But Witt is undoubtedly my favorite guy today. It's a weaker position. So if you want to take GPP shots on Francisco Lindor as a one-off, hope Nick Ahmed gets on base and steals some bases, I'm totally okay with that. You can just stack with your tournament stacks as well here. But if I'm looking at a one-off or I'm looking at a cash game, it's either Witt Jr., who I like better than Profar, or Seager.
Okay. Ice, before you get to shortstop, does tout have a negative connotation? Every time I see it, it makes it sound like it doesn't sound good, but it's not negative, is it?
It's not negative. I think there's a lot of slander on Twitter towards touts that like it. So it does kind of have a negative connotation.
Yeah. Well,
it's not like an offensive term.
I've Googled it. An attempt to sell something, or the noun, a person soliciting something typically in an aggressive or bold manner. I mean,
yeah, I'm definitely not trying to push plays on anybody or anything like that. I'm trying to help everybody. That's the reason I'm on the show.
I don't know.
I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. You don't.
I'm touting you to hit the like button, because if you don't, the people don't get Spidey bombs and they'll be pissed.
Yeah, I don't know. I never liked that word, but anyways, tout or no tout, what do you like doing at short?
Yeah, Bobby Witt, too cheap on FanDuel. Love that call. Talked about Heaney's home run problem. Witt can certainly get one against him. Seager against Greinke, I really like. Should put the ball in play, no doubt. Pretty weak after that. Edman is buried in the lineup, but he's in Coors. Ahmed is another Arizona righty. I've talked about them a couple times. Gio Urshela for the Angels, but again, probably my 9th favorite in the lineup. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. Like even the spend ups that are usually great at shortstop, like Xander Bogaerts, Dansby Swanson, Francisco Lindor, they're all in tough matchups. That's why it's not particularly great, as great as it usually is, I'll say.
Gotcha. Okay. I want you to take us to the outfield, but Nathan came in with a question, just perfectly timed. Who is the best outfielder at 3,300 or less on DraftKings? Which was also my last position, which means we have the same lineup. And I landed on Daza because it's lefty righty and he's in Colorado. It's in Colorado, lefty righty lefty or whatever.
So pick a different lefty righty in Colorado and put Alec Burleson in your lineup.
I had that in a different one for what it's worth.
Jordan Walker.
Okay, wow, really anti-Daza. All right, Ice. Who do you prefer there at 3,300? I'm taking Daza out now.
My favorite there would be Burleson, 2,900.
Okay, there you have it.
And then Jordan Walker would be second.
Okay,
third, Cody Bellinger. That's your crazy different one.
Okay, thank you for saving me. Thank you for getting me off that. See, early in the season, I don't know if any of these guys have pop, because all I do is look at their yearly stats. So like, 2 weeks into the season, I have no idea who can hit home runs and who can't. So good to have you guys. Okay, Ice, with that, let's actually go through the position, not just helping me and one other person.
Okay, yeah. Outfield absolutely loaded as usual. Coors Field is all great. The Cardinals have some cheap guys that we just talked about, 2 of them, Burleson and Walker. Chris Bryant for the Rockies on the other side. Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, two of the best on the entire slate. Julio Rodriguez is right up there as far as ceiling goes. Absolutely loved him against the lefty today. Teoscar Hernandez, another Seattle bat. Jurickson Profar, another Coors bat. Dylan Carlson and Charlie Blackmon. Blackmon's lefty against Matz, and Matz is a traditional splits guy. But Blackmon's actually had a lot of success against Matz in his career, which was pretty shocking. So you don't necessarily have to leave Blackmon out of your Rocky stack. Mentioned Profar. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean that's about it. I mentioned lefties against Scherzer. Soto certainly qualifies. Taylor Ward for the Angels is another great spend up. That's all I got.
Okay, TJ, you want to walk me through your favorites in the outfield?
I sure can do. Teoscar Hernandez, the first Spidey bomb, is going to be the guy that I'm getting to in the most of my lineups today. We're only 40 likes away from our third Spidey bomb. Let's try and get that before lock. Let's get up to 200 here. Let's break that 200 like barrier. That would be huge. So let's get it done. First Spidey bomb number 3. Teoscar Hernandez is my most owned, followed by Mike Trout, of course. Then those two guys that we talked about that are nice and cheap for St. Louis, that's 3 and 4 for me. Jordan Walker and Alex Burleson. I'm getting a ton of Hunter Renfroe, Shohei Ohtani, and Taylor Ward. Trying to get a lot of Julio Rodriguez and AJ Pollock because I really like the Seattle stack today, and even a Seattle mini stack or home run hunting there. We did have a great question in chat about who would you prefer straight up in a Fanduel single entry, Chris Bryant or Ronald Acuna? I feel like the typical just like, hey, we're in Coors, and so the answer would be Chris Bryant. Honestly, I would personally rather go with Acuna there, but I do think that's kind of like a tough coin flip because I personally have 15% Chris Bryant and 15% Ronald Acuna Jr. So what are you thinking on that one, Keith?
I would say if you have other Rockies, it's definitely Bryant. Otherwise, I'd go Acuna.
TJ just nodding silently in agreement.
I like it. Oh yeah. I was just like waiting for like you to take it.
Nah, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. This is baseball. I just wait for you guys to say things. Okay. Let's see. Did get an earlier comment. Let's see if I can find it. Oh yeah. Before we get into the QQs, I wanted to just make this note. J3 says, speaking of tout, Derek Carty's The Bat might be the greatest value on planet Earth right now. And Carty's my boy, so I can confirm. Yes, make sure you're signing up for The Bat. It is a wonderful projection system. He is currently on a yacht, a mega yacht that he owns from just selling the bat to people. He's just making millions. He's just chilling on his yacht, selling the bat, making millions. So
did he buy it from Andy Means after the live final that was?
Yeah, it's the very same yacht that was Means' yacht. That's correct. All right, let's get into some QQs, I suppose. I am going to start in the Discord, though there are a lot of great questions coming into the YouTube, and I will get to those as well. But starting off in the MLB crunch time here, and we'll start with NBAD FanDuel cash question in the util, Renfroe or Profar. And TJ, I'm giving this to you. I will say I know my answer, and it ain't some dude named Profar.
It's definitely Hunter Renfroe.
That's what I'm talking about. Hunter, that guy hits freaking bombs. He hits bombs. DK single entry, and I'm just going to alternate. I'm not going to go like cash one, GPP the other. We're just going to go back and forth. Ice DK single entry, Angel stack with a St. Louis mini. Is that getting too chalky? That's real chalky because that's what I'm doing.
That's real chalky, but you can still play that lineup. Just play a pitcher like Graham Ashcraft or Andrew Heaney, or just get different at pitching. But yes, they're probably the two chalkiest stacks on the slate.
Okay. And Derek says Carty's yacht is ironically named Lefty Masher. That's funny. That's good. And here's my question with that stack. I feel like the Angel stack, you said there's literally 9 different ways to do it. So does that make it less chalky in that not everyone's has the same Angel stack? Or does everyone just have 20 different Angel stacks?
I think you're going to get 1 or 2 pieces that are differentiated, but everyone is playing Trout first. Ohtani's the one I'm interested to see the ownership on. Like, people really do shy away from lefty. We have him projected for ownership right up there with Trout, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting skipped over in like hand build type lineups. But yeah, like there's enough going on with that Angels stack. Especially if you're going down towards the bottom, you're getting pretty good ownership on those guys.
If you like, obviously you want Trout and Ohtani in your stacks, but this lineup is good enough that like if you want to go pay up for pitching in a lineup and go Rendon, Renfroe, Drury, Rengifo, and Ohapi, like that's a great 5-man stack.
So I was going to ask, can you just skip Trout? Like, you can skip Trout. It's not crazy.
Not crazy.
It's not optimal, but it's not crazy either.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Interesting. All right. Good stuff. I'm just trying to learn. I'm trying to learn this year. I'm going to play a little baseball this year. All right.
The thing with baseball is like, especially if it's a hitter, it's not crazy to skip literally anyone.
Yeah.
Because every single person on the planet can go 0-for-4.
Like
that's the thing about baseball.
10 runs in this game, and Trout could be 0-for-4. That could literally happen.
That's what blows my mind. In basketball, if I pay $10K for a guy, he's going to play 40 minutes and he's going to take a shitload of shots. In baseball, you pay up and the dude can do nothing. And everyone in baseball is like, oh, it happens. And like, no. Then I take off a month. I'm like, I hate it. I don't like this. All right. I got to learn. Achilles giving me like a basketball equivalent for Daza. He says, Daza is the equivalent of Reggie Bullock or half a Maxi Kleba. The lefty-righty matchup means he's going to tap the ball into the ground instead of just striking out. Okay, thank you. That's now I understand. I appreciate that. FanDuel single entry, TJ, do I play Castillo at pitcher for safety and upside or punt to Suarez and play all the bats?
I'm honestly totally fine with either one of those options today. Castillo, I would end up with a little bit more than Suarez, but Suarez at that price on FanDuel is 100% in play.
Okay.
So I realize that doesn't help because I said I like both of them, but if you're leaning to the Suarez one and you were looking for some validation, yeah, I'm totally okay with that.
I feel like it's totally fine to just say sometimes like both of those plays are fine. Like both of those are good plays. I think sometimes people want to hear that too. Like neither of those plays are bad. Do whatever one you want to do. Both are fine. GD says DK GPP, Teoscar or Ward Ice.
Love them both. So again, if you have players from their team, I'd go with that guy. Just straight up in a vacuum, I prefer Teoscar slightly.
Okay. MHD
Otherwise,
says
we're going to have to fight.
Oh, okay. Yeah. MHD says, TJ, Arizona or a Royal stack and then paying up twice at pitcher. Is that worth a shot in a GPP on DK?
Yeah, I think that is absolutely fine. I think Arizona may be a little bit better as like no, that's not true either. I would go with KC, like a Perez, Witt, Olivares. I don't love them as the full stack. Like I really like KC as a mini stack. But Heaney can get wild too, so I would rather go with KC than Arizona.
Okay, and if you're paying up for two pitchers, who are the two pitchers you're paying up for, right? There's Castillo, I guess. Is that considered to pay up?
I would go Castillo and Arias in tournaments.
Okay, very good. More QQs still coming in. Let's get to them. FanDuel Cash Ice. If I can only have one, would you rather have Ohtani, Julio, or Nolan Revenge? And then he did like devil horn thing.
Yeah, in cash, I think the Coors guy is usually the way that you lean. So give me Nolan.
Okay, very good. DK Cash, Ohtani or Goldie? TJ.
Goldie.
DK Cash, your favorite SP2 in DK Cash. It's not even close. It's I forget his name, but it's not.
If you're going to say Ashcraft, not in cash.
It wasn't Ashcraft. No, it wasn't him.
Zach Gallen is the guy I would try to get to. If you absolutely need the money, I think Bryce Elder's in play, but I would definitely try to get to Gallen.
Yep. FanDuel GPPs, by the way, after this, I'm coming to the YouTube chat, so hang out, YouTube. Since there are a lot of offenses tonight, do you mind constructing lineups without full stacking, like a 3-3-1-1 kind of build?
The more offenses there are on the slate, the more likely I am to only full stack.
Okay, let me kick that over to Ice. Do you feel the same way? I feel like you're just a full stacker only. You seem like a stacker.
I am definitely a stacker. That is, and even in single entry, like the majority of my action, I play in large field tournaments, and you need to hit a massive ceiling, and the easiest way to find a massive ceiling is by correlating the entire lineup. So in large field, yes, I stack in every single lineup that I build. But even if I'm playing a single entry, I generally try to find a 5-3 stack that I feel comfortable with. But it's always a 5-man stack, and then I'm fine doing one-offs in like single entry and 3-entry max.
Okay. And let's say it's a massive tournament. Are you okay doing like a 5-1-1-1? Or even then, are you like, it's 5-3 or bust?
If I'm playing like the $15 lotto or the $4 mini max, like $4 20 entry max or something with like over 10,000 entries, I'm 5-3 every time.
Wow. Okay. I regret my lineup build right now. That's okay. I do feel like to be fully transparent, I've played baseball 10 times total, and I've never cashed. And I feel like tonight is my night. I feel like I've got a good build. Tonight's my night. I'm going to cash.
So I'll just expand. We've got plenty of time.
Yeah, we do.
Let's get Steve to pull up the screen share quick. Again, I'm going to pivot to my DraftKings here so you guys can kind of take a look as to how my optimizing strategy works here. Oh, it's not on here because it's this computer. I went to NBA. That's the problem. So when I'm doing stacks, I use the stack tool in Lineup HQ, and I agree. If I'm building a single entry team, it's a 5-3 or it's a 5-2-1, or sometimes maybe it's a 4-4. But as you can see here on this MLB hitter stacks, I'm going to have 60% of my lineups be 5-3 stacks today. 60% of my lineups be 5-2 stacks today. 5% will be 5x. 5% will be 4-4. Just in case, like for the 5x, just in case some of these guys I don't want included only in stacks, like a CJ Crone, Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, Goldschmidt, Betts, just in case their offenses suck, but those guys hit 2 or 3 home runs.
Sure.
I want to make sure I can get them in with a different stack. So I love this only in stack tool here. And I utilize that heavily. Like there's very few players on the slate, as you can see, that I won't click that button on. And it's only people I feel like could hit a bunch of home runs. And so I'm totally good with getting in them in one-offs. But as you can see, 60% of my lineups will be 5-3, 30% will be 5-2, and very seldom will I use anything else.
Okay. Very, very cool stuff, TJ. Ice, I feel like you were making a point. It may have been on a similar vein.
Just of why I 5-3 stack in a large field tournament. It's really hard to find 3 different guys who go off for enough points that are useful to get to the top of a tournament. It is much easier to find 3 guys from one team. Just for example, if I get 3 singles from one guy from 3 one-offs, I get 3, 6, 9 points, right? But if I get 3 singles in a row from the same team, I'm getting RBIs, I'm getting runs scored. Like just the correlation of those guys being on the same team, their singular events score me more points.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. All right. Back to some QQs here. We've got, what time is locked? Do we still have 5 whole freaking minutes?
Yeah,
we do. Yep.
God, I just hate baseball. I mean, I love it. It's so great. I love how it just, you never know when the games are going to start. All right, back to the QQs. Fanduel GPP. Ice, what are your thoughts on an Arizona mini stack?
Yeah, I'm all about that. There's a lot of speed guys in the lineup. I absolutely love Christian Walker for power. But stolen bases, we've talked about a lot already this season. They're almost double what they were last season, and Arizona has a lot of guys that can run.
Yeah. All right.
That's why I struggled with the KC versus Arizona question, because I don't like either team as full stacks, but I really like both teams as mini stacks.
Okay. Very good. Falcor says, any Milwaukee plays? TJ, you got anything on Milwaukee like?
I got 1 5-man stack in 150 lineups with Milwaukee on it. If I was going to find somebody to one-off, it would either be Adames or Tellez, but it would probably be Adames just because shortstop is a lot weaker than first base.
Very good. Ice, DK Cash, Suarez or Gallon? The answer is both, my friend. Right? No. Sorry, no. Castillo and Gallon. So
Castillo, Gallon. Yeah, definitely Gallon for me over Suarez.
Yeah. All right. Greatness is on FanDuel, Elder and Ketel Marte or Suarez and Arenado?
That's Suarez and Arenado for me.
Okay, very good. Jumping on back to the YouTube chat here. Michael Miller says, Ice, Seager or Rengifo to complete a 3-man Angel stack?
Always stack.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Aaron says, different in cash games yet. Oh, God, now my dog is barking. Why haven't the game started? I don't even understand why the games haven't started. DKGBP, what about a Ranger stack? Anybody playing a Ranger stack?
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit.
Totally fine.
Remy,
Yeah, I mean,
shut up, or I will literally send you to the pound. I'm sorry. Was my mic on? Your mic's my bad.
It wasn't as bad as the squirrel one, but
It was really bad. That was so bad.
Texas is my 6th highest owned stack today.
All right. Where are we at? Cam Middleton says, DK Cash, Castillo, Rosario, ice is for you. Castillo, Rosario, or Suarez, Renfro?
Rosario. Who are we talking about there?
Eddie?
Is he in a lineup? Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's batting 6th, I think, for Atlanta.
Give that to me one more time. Eddie Rosario threw me off.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm assuming the answer is not that since it's a cash question, but Castillo, Rosario, or Suarez, Renfro?
I really want to play Castillo, so it's Castillo and somebody other than Rosario, but he is hitting 6th. He's cheap. I don't know. It was Fanduel.
DK.
There's got to be a better option.
Miley might have just got scratched.
You can go. I'm going to look for another $2,200 outfielder on DK because I'm not in love with Rosario.
Did Zach Gallen just get scratched?
Oh man, that would be a problem.
Drew Jameson will start for the Diamondbacks on Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, don't play Gallen in cash anymore.
Okay. Well, tell me what this means.
So Zach Gallen he's one of my highest owned pitchers, and he just got scratched. He's the guy we were recommended as the second DK cash pitcher. I think going down to Elder is completely fine in cash. If you do not like that option, if you can get up to Urias, that's great. I think I would just do
It's Wednesday. Is that that's on Wednesday. Dre Jameson will start for the Diamondbacks on Wednesday.
Why are you putting that in chat right now, people? Oh my god!
It's on Wednesday.
Giving me a heart attack. I got to redo all my lineups. No, we're good.
Yeah, I exited it out. I'm not saying I was like somebody. Yeah, don't put that in chat now.
Yeah, we'll breathe. I'm sure. Yeah, perhaps that was a copy paste.
Crisis averted.
Everyone okay? Everybody, no heart attacks.
No.
Lineups reconstructed.
Slight blood pressure raised, but coming back to earth now.
All right, we're good. All right, we're gonna take a breath. That was fun. That was a fun way to end it. I enjoyed that because I was like, I don't have that dude, so I'm gonna watch you two sweat for once. All right, we'll take a second here. We're less than a minute until lock. Prioritize Goldie or Arenado, TJ?
Goldie.
This comment. GR Sauce says, hey, I'm picking my heart up off the floor right now. Were you guys just scrambling? TJ's got like 300 lineups. Ice, you have how many?
Yeah, I got 150 going.
Like
I was
40.
prepped to like X him out of my pool and then just like ramp up the amount of Milwaukee stacks I get. Just because I knew literally nothing about this guy, but I knew no one else would be playing Milwaukee.
Good times.
Yeah, I mean, it's a late game, so we could have made pivots, but yeah, we would not have had optimal lineups if that had actually just happened.
All right. Paul McFartney says, give me 2 pitchers to get 7 Ks. Each of you get to pick one. TJ, you get to go first, so you get to pick the easy one. Pick the most likely dude to get 7 Ks. Castillo. Ice, you get second.
That's the right answer. Second, I'm going to go
Ashcraft.
That's my
The second most likely person to hit 7 strikeouts is most likely Max Scherzer. But from a DFS standpoint, where he's picking up ownership and he's struggled to start the year, I'm going heavily underweight there. But.
So my silence there was debating between Urias and Scherzer. Urias is not a huge strikeout guy. Scherzer's matchup is not ideal. San Diego doesn't strike out a ton. I'm leaning Urias over Scherzer for that. That was the reason for my hesitation.
Okay. Very good. I like it. By the way, Mean Dean in the chat put his Twitter in, but I can't see his Twitter, but he says last chance to enter with free RG Premium. Hopefully that's actually Dean and not just some troll putting like a spam link that's going to steal all your money. But if that's the real Dean, you should check out that link and you can win free RG Premium. So make sure you're doing that. Guys, we have hit the lock 11 minutes later than we should have, but we've done it. And I think it is time to get the hell out of here. So for Ice, for TJ, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.